You mean you don't watch?
Well, we're in the show, Braden.
Got you.
He draws the foul.
I mean, really, I feel like you were just waiting in the paint to draw charge there.
That's right.
I think Megan probably does a tremendous job.
Right here. Bang. Going the other way.
Going the other way. Well, we got a show for you today. We are grooving along through spring training. And in this time where it feels like things are happening and also things aren't happening all at once, anything that comes our way, we will receive and be grateful and happy for. And what we received is MLB Network spun through Padres campaign.
What's so funny is Yonder Alonso was with Manny at the SDFC game and then interviewed him the next day at Padres camp. Hey man, long time no see. Yeah. Probably went on the plane back to Peoria with him. But no, it's cool. It's we heard from they talked to Manny and Tatis and Jackson Merrill, and I think Greg Amsinger was there too. So, they're making the rounds. I saw they were at Diamondbacks camp, I think yesterday, and rolling through good old Cactus League spring training.
Nice. Yeah. So we're going to have in the baseball hour, Dylan Cease, Fernando. We'll see how much of this we can get to, but they had Merrill, they had Manny. Of course.
Probably don't need to. Yeah.
We know all these guys.
Pick a few. Yeah.
We'll figure out which ones we like. And we'll dig through that. Also, an interview we didn't get to a couple of days ago. And apparently it's Tyler Wade Day. He led the sports page this morning as well. So, listen, who are we not to fall in line? So we've got Sammy with Tyler Wade, a really good interview that was in the midst of like when 6 things were available to us. So, why skip on the juicy content? We'll bring you that in the 11 o'clock hour as well.
He talked to Tyler Wade, and then Ben and Woods also talked to Tyler Wade when they were out there. So some good Tyler Wade content rolling through.
Yeah. Plus, I already saw the Daily Shilt has been chopped up. We'll give that to you in the 11 a.m. hour, give you the very latest. It's a split squad day for your beloved San Diego Padres. And actually, I feel like for a baseball fan, this is a pretty fun day because the home game against the Giants is a close to opening day lineup, I would say. One key question I'd have in there is Martin Maldonado, who is starting and Elias Diaz is not. So I'm a little curious about that one. But nonetheless, otherwise, pretty much a starting lineup for the Padres, including Nick Pivetta, who will make his spring start today against the Giants. Meanwhile, in Mesa, the Padres will play the Cubs with mostly a B squad, but some of those decisions, just who's on A, who's on B, are fairly interesting or maybe noteworthy, or maybe we're just trying to look at the tea leaves and glean some meaning out of what's at the bottom of the cup. So we'll get into all of that coming up at 11 o'clock and all the way through the 11 o'clock hour. Of course, at the midpoint of the show, 12 o'clock Sports Fix will hit you with all the sports news of the day. We will move to our silly game at 12:40, which is Fast Money today, the bonus round from the Family Feud game show. And we'll have a good time with that because we are giving away qualifications for Alanis Morissette in Vegas. That's this month's big drawing. So we'll do that coming up at 12:45. We'll, of course, wrap up the show with Ask Us Anything. Got a couple calls out. We'll see if a guest drops in between here and 2 o'clock as well. That will be essentially up to them. So all of that coming up. Plus, of course, we'll get in later in this next segment into the San Diego State Aztecs. Here's one. Can we just knock this one out? Fernando Tatis is signed with the agency Remus, which is headed by the global recording superstar Bad Bunny, but has had a rough relationship with MLB so far in terms of getting their agents accredited as being official. I think this is just for him to, get sunglass sponsorships and apparel sponsorships and cars and whatever.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's for shoes, maybe, a shoe deal or things like, clothing or sunglasses, cars, like whatever kind of he decides to endorse. He lost his endorsements, obviously, after the suspension, and has kind of, probably taken a hit on him. I think his ego a little bit too. Like, hey, wait a second. Like, I remember when he was doing all that Dairy Queen stuff and was it Adidas? Who was he? Adidas or
I think it was something like
it
that.
was
He had a Mercedes deal too.
Yeah. So, I think he spent a few years, I think, understanding that was all, consequences of his actions.
Right.
And he lost them and he did his own thing for a while. And in certain, I don't think he's like hard up for endorsements, but I'm sure Bad Bunny is like, hey, we can work on, getting you out there a little bit more and getting you maybe a little bit more of a presence, both internationally and in the US. And I think it says also something about a philanthropy. So maybe it's like some charity work too, or look, businessman, maybe he wants to make some investments. I have no idea, but it will handle all that. Like, I think Dan Lozano stays on as his actual agent.
Okay. I mean, of all the players on the team that, changing agencies would be news, I feel like he and Manny would probably be the bottom of the list because they've got, and Xander, they've got their deals. Like, the deals are there. What are they going to do?
Yeah, exactly. And I think he's still with Lozano, but exactly like what his 14-year deal is already set. I mean, he doesn't really need another deal done, until then. So, and I think that would still be with Lozano, but I'm not sure 100%.
Well, good for Bad Bunny, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Big time client. Rescue his reputation.
Yeah. And maybe for Fernando, who is probably looking at, what he can kind of get involved with in the coming years. I think, again, after the suspension, he just kind of stepped back a little bit. Like, let me just concentrate on building myself back up from what happened and getting myself healthy after all the surgeries and showing that I can still play and all that good stuff. And I think maybe now he's reached a point where he's ready to kind of get back out there.
And that's great. Let's hope he's ready. This feels like a potential, in our best case scenarios. I think Fernando Tatis has a great year in almost all of them. Like, it's important for the Padres to be a great team, for Fernando to have that year that he's been talking about for a while. And I mean, he talked about it a couple of years ago, like teams are going to need to look out for this lineup and, what we do, we're going to be able to do things no one has done before. I've heard him say those things. We've seen him do individually some things that we have not seen very many times before, but can you do it for 155 games? Can you lock in? Can you stay healthy? I mean, I think Fernando, there's no words that will get you from spring training to the end of the year. There's only actions and also luck, honestly.
Absolutely. I mean, Fernando still has something to prove, and he knows that. I mean, he wants to get out there and have a healthy year. He still has not had a full season of health and been able to contribute in the way that I think he knows he can and wants to. And I think he will look at his legacy at some point. I mean, I truly don't think Fernando wants to be a player who just sits on his butt and, he collects a check and maybe plays for half a year. I really believe like he wants to show his suspension is not going to define him. He feels as good as he's ever felt coming into this camp, but we've heard that before. So it really is on Fernando. Like you said, it's got to be actions. You can't help some of the freak injuries, but he can definitely help himself wherever possible in terms of making sure that he's doing what he needs to do, not taking any unnecessary risks, of course, but also, training wise and everything like that. And he's been doing that. I really think Fernando thinks about his legacy and believes that like he wants himself to have a legacy he can be proud of in the big leagues and that fans can be proud of. Fernando really cares about like how the fans, like in terms of entertaining fans and, giving people their money's worth and understanding that the game is more than just a game. It's for the kids and it's for the families and it's for people to come out and have fun. Like he gets all that. So if he can get his baseball back, which we saw last year, I mean, clearly that injury sidelined him for 2 months. There was only so much he could do. But if he can get back there and then Padres can make some more playoffs, I mean, Fernando in the playoffs is as hot as anyone gets. And that is really truly when he shines. So, use this time. If you're the Padres, it's like you want to keep this guy on the field. He needs to keep himself on the field. And then you want to get back in the playoffs where he gets to be on that big stage and do what he does.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we all know what he is capable of, and he knows what he is capable of. Everyone around him does as well. So it just becomes a matter of, is this the year?
Yeah.
Is this the year that it's all together and it's an MVP 1, 2, 3 type finish, automatic starting in the All-Star game, like the whole 9 yards? It's all there in front of him. And if he does it, we're all going to be here to enjoy it. And that's the beauty of having a player like Fernando Tatis locked up for years and years. Good luck, Remus. Hope you figure it out. I hope it all comes through.
Who knows what this is? It could be nothing. It could be, we're seeing him on some billboards in a few months. I have no idea. But for whatever reason, I mean, look, Bad Bunny mentioned Tatis in his song a few years ago. I'm surprised, honestly, that this hasn't happened earlier. So the two know each other clearly, so we'll see what comes of it.
DR and PR hooking up here, Dominican and Puerto Rico on the same page. Okay, we are underway with the Tuesday edition of Annie and Elsten. When we come back, a college basketball segment for you as San Diego State heads out on the road tonight with revenge on their mind. Will they get it in Vegas? We'll talk about it after this. Annie and Elsten, we go till 2, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:18 on the Fan. Beautiful Tuesday in America's finest city. Annie and Elsten rolling on through. We head till 2 o'clock today. Gwen and Chris check in at that point. All right, let's talk a little college basketball. San Diego State at UNLV tonight. Starting on the newsy side of things, Magungwath sounds like will be out this week.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Based on what Coach Dutcher said, he was hoping for a conference tournament potential appearance. And that's probably where it lies, is right there. Like, if we're lucky, he's available for the conference tournament.
But you really would want him available for that next step if the Aztecs can do that. So you can get these wins without him, or what you need to do, then let him rest.
You know, Annie, you bring up a pretty good point there, because if, as Braden has laid out multiple times, going through the Nolan Gorman Jonesy Dorman Smith.com.
Smitty Wortherman Jensen. He was number one, Craig.
I knew it. I knew it all along. As he's been laying out for us, if the Aztecs could win this week, get the 2-dub week, and head into the conference tournament, I saw the breakdowns. Mark Ziegler did the breakdowns. Probably if they win through, they'll be third. There's like a super outside chance for second. It would depend on other teams losing games they're supposed to win.
Okay.
But if everyone kind of wins the way they're supposed to, they're probably going to finish third. And therefore, they don't have to play in the first day.
Yeah.
They'll get the 6th seed. They'll get UNLV probably, is what he had laid out, is that they probably get UNLV in the first round.
So they need to win both this week.
Yeah.
For that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, they'll probably fall to 5th.
Okay. I mean, that's a good, it's a good layout, right? If you can get that done, it's kind of gives you a little bit of breathing room. And again, for your guys that maybe need a little break, and Magungwath allows you to not have to rush them back necessarily. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Building on your point, is that if you do this, you get to third, you've created an at-large resume that's pretty solid, and it should be strong enough to withstand losing in the conference tournament. And of course you wouldn't want to lose in the first round or the second round technically, but in your first conference tournament game, UNLV at home, you never know. You sometimes have to roll the dice on that one. UNLV isn't a locked-in program the way they've been, in our history, years and decades ago. So I'm not like overly concerned. The SDSU's played UNLV in the conference tournament many times over the years, and it's not like the end of the world every time that they do. But point being, I think if you go 2-0 this week, it gives you the latitude to not say to Gwath, hey, we need 100% of your 60%. Because we just need you out there. Yeah. And
if you can give them a little bit of that extra time and get them to be in better health for hopefully a tourney run, that's obviously where you want, that'd be ideal. I mean, you maybe use a little bit of him, but you don't have to tax him too much if you don't have to, and then get your team at better strength and better health, headed into where it really is going to matter here soon, most likely for them. So a little bit at stake here for sure. And a late game tonight, you got to set your...
Is it 8 o'clock?
Set your
again?
alarm. Is it 8 or? Yeah, I think it's 8. I don't know.
Well,
hold on.
What are the odds that this is the one I remember? Like after so many days of no.
It's it's 8 p.m.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Because what better time to start a sporting event than sometime after 8 o'clock?
Or you play on the East Coast and play at 9 East Coast time.
That
happened. That
so
happened a couple
crazy.
times. So dumb.
So dumb.
What's the lowest they can get, you said, seed-wise?
So the way that it's looking right now,
if they can't get the 6th seed, right?
They should not get the 6th seed. I think there's like a 5-game gap.
Then it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's 2 through 5. The way Ziegler projected it today in the newspaper was a 4-way tie, actually, at 15-5 in conference between Utah, Boise, SDSU, and Colorado State, I believe.
Yes.
And that he had already done the tinkering that we don't need to go find, that the tiebreaker would sort such that Utah State would get the 2 seed and then SDSU would get 3, and I think CSU and Boise would be 4-5. So that's if you win out. If you just lose one game, you'll probably be the 5th seed. And as was pointed out again, just, passing along information I read myself earlier, it's not the worst thing in the universe if that happens, because the side of the bracket the Aztecs would fall in would lead them to play late at night over and over.
As a 3 seed, you mean?
Yes.
Right? Yeah, I'm reading so in the UT, it says the downsides, 8:30 p.m. quarterfinal and 9 p.m. semifinal, usually later because the previous game will go long. Then followed by the next day at 3 p.m. Saturday final, and the 4-5 game on Thursdays 2:30 and feeds into the 6:30.
Yeah.
So they don't have enough. They don't have as much recovery time, right?
Right.
Dutcher says the guys who play that late semifinal don't get out of there until sometimes 1 a.m, and then play again the next afternoon at 3. And it's one of the toughest things to do in college basketball.
Yeah, they would have. If they got the 3 seed, they'd have an 8:30 tip, a 9 o'clock tip, and then a 3 o'clock tip,
and then at 3
Cool.
o'clock.
Yeah.
and the 9 o'clock is, as you mentioned, is subject to change based on how late the 6:30 game goes.
So you're not getting done until after midnight, probably, right? Or well, maybe like somewhere around there. But by the time you're leaving the stadium and you've done everything you need to do,
You're almost better off, honestly, if you get the 3 seed, you're better off winning the quarterfinal game and then losing the semifinal and just getting ready to watch the NCAA tournament selection show.
Yeah, I would.
Because at that point you're already in.
You.
It's why go through the extra pain, like the extra wear and tear on your bodies and everything like that. If you feel like you're comfortable in a spot there, I mean, you'd be playing the 2 seed in that 9 o'clock game, so that'd be a loss to a quad. That'd be a quad 1 game. It's not like you're losing. It's not like a quad 4 loss that would just kill you in the thing. And at that point in time, everybody else that's on the bubble is playing in their tournaments, and a lot of those teams could have lost in the first round.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the bubble gets smaller and smaller. The only thing that really scares you are bid stealers out there, and I don't know how many bid stealers there are going to be in some of these conferences. Is Irvine a bid stealer if they win their tournament? I don't really think so. So you just got to start. You're starting to play a numbers game. That's why it's very important for them to win these 2 games in the regular season here, so they don't have to overdo it in the conference tournament.
Yeah, and yeah, make it easy on yourself, and I think they can. And personally, I'm pretty confident in them going into UNLV and taking care of business. I think the fact that the Rebs came here and really kind of set the Aztecs on that ragged path for 2 or 3 weeks. It was right at the beginning of that patch of play where they were not facing they weren't handling the mediocre teams the way that they needed to. And even though they won enough of those games that we're still right here talking about the at-large conversation, it was the way they did it that put them into Nervous Town. So I like the redemption arc that we're seeing. First act of the Aztec season, really strong. Win over Houston, high point. Second act, that dramatic dip that you need to make the movie good. And then you get to the third act, you're rolling now as you get to the boss levels. You're rolling as you get into where it really counts.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good way for the Aztecs to just keep rolling, doing what they're doing. Again, you're proving that you can win. You don't want to keep winning without Magoon Guath, but you've been doing it. You've been getting it done. So you just kind of keep building that, right? Like that sense of urgency, that never say die. And it's kind of like they're a revenge game again, right? They're trying to go in there and show that they're the better team. So I think the Aztecs really do have high aspirations here. And I think that they're buying into that a lot more now that it's getting closer and closer.
All right, we're going to take our second time out of the program. When we come back, we're going to start to dip our toe into MLB Network Padres camp sound. We just talked about Fernando Tatis Jr. Let's hear from him. Why not? Seems like a smart thing to do. Stay on topic. They're already thinking a little Nando way. We'll bring you some Nando. Add to that. Plus, SDFC makes an announcement yesterday that I completely expected them to make. And it's the right one to make. And we'll get back to that story and update you on it as well as we wrap up the first hour of 4. It's Annie and Elsten. Roll until 2 o'clock. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Robert Half. 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Our recruiting professionals utilize an award-winning AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. Annie Halburn, Craig Elsten, Braden Suprenant here with you. Momentarily, we're going to bring you some sound from MLB Network. You probably know they do the, 30 camps in 15 days, I think is what they say. Or maybe it's 30 days. I don't know.
I think it's 15 now.
I think
it
15.
used to be 30. I think they used to do like one a day. Now they're just doubling them up.
That's exactly what I thought too.
Yeah, budget cuts and everything.
Cut the staff in half.
Yeah, exactly.
Doubled it up. We'll just send one of you out to this
right.
camp, and we'll send a couple of you out to the other camp, as opposed to sending the crew.
Yeah, they used to go to the Grapefruit League first, and then they would get all the way over and then do Arizona for the second half of spring training. That was the 30 clubs in 30 days. And they're like, why are we doing this when we can send two groups out and just knock all of them out at the same time? Smart.
Yeah, I guess.
Guys didn't want to spend the money to have the MLB Network crew on a bus, John Madden style, across the country.
Exactly. So we're going to get to that in just a moment. Start with just a little bit of an update from the story that wound up being, I'm sure, in San Diego FC's minds, way too much of the post-game oxygen.
Yeah, you know what's a bummer about this whole thing is, for the most part, by and large, and of course, your mileage may vary on the actual offense and scoring, but besides, whatever, I think people had a good time. People had a really good time there on Saturday night, and I think they enjoyed the atmosphere and the experience and all of that good stuff. And I think it's just, you were there. It's important to note that I do think if you go out there, you're going to have a good time. And unfortunately, this is just kind of overshadowing it right now.
Absolutely, you are going to. And the reason you're going to is because the atmosphere is incredible. And as I've talked about, God, since the beginning of the show back last year, that atmosphere is created by the supporters. The supporters are the people on the north end of the stadium who have banded into various groups. Those groups have agreed to a union. That union signs a literal contract with the club that allows them to have noisemakers, drums, flags, banners, trumpets, whatever, right? Like, all of that is part of a contract. And within that contract are the values of both the group and the team, and the vow for each one of the two sides to hold each other accountable to those values. If the club's values stray, it's on the supporters group. But you know what I mean? The supporters group will stand up and speak up if the club's values stray. Likewise, if the supporters group's values strayed, the club would speak up and would enforce. You have a contract. There's a union there. And those thousands of people who put their time and energy, create the tifo, create the chants, practice the drums, do everything, or even just suit up and go there to sing and be energetic and wave flags and have a great time. Those people create the incredible culture that allows you to love, creates the culture that allows you to recognize when you walk into a stadium that this is different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is different. This isn't like when I went to the baseball game and it was great. I loved the baseball game, but they played Blink 182 all the time and the speakers were blaring and it was this and it was that and there were timeouts and the pod squad ran out and this, that. No, soccer just goes. The game goes. And so it could be silent, right? It could just be the sound of the ball moving around and just the broccoli of the people chattering, or it can be boom, 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 right?
Yeah.
And that's what creates that atmosphere, that culture. Within all of that, the supporters have been, each group has been standing up over the course of the last 48 hours to put out their own statement that matches what San Diego FC has put out, to say, listen, first off, it didn't come over here, but beyond that, that's because we don't condone it, and we'll do everything we can to help make sure that it's not happening in the stadium. Here's what San Diego FC put out yesterday afternoon. said, what took place during our first ever home match does not reflect who we are as a club or the values we stand for. The sport of football brings people together, and in San Diego, that inclusive spirit thrives. The use of homophobic language in our stadium is completely unacceptable and will not be tolerated. San Diego FC is built on respect and the belief that soccer is for everyone. We are committed to fostering an environment where all fans, players, and staff feel safe and welcome. And here's the important part. We will take immediate steps to address this behavior and will communicate a detailed plan prior to the next home match, which is 2 Saturdays from now. So this is what I was talking about yesterday, which was, when I've done PA multiple times for the Mexican national team, both at Snapdragon, up at the Rose Bowl, and wherever you are, the thing that makes everyone show up at 2:00 for a 7:00 game is to literally practice the protocols of having staff, security staff, game management staff in the stands with walkie-talkies, going around, being present, right? And trying to identify if at a widespread nature, that chant has taken place, or if, a couple of yahoos are over in the corner trying to get something going. Because if it's a couple of yahoos, they won't do anything stadium-wide. They'll just go get those guys and send them outside. But if like a section does it, if it's clearly widespread, then protocol 1 is you do a warning. Then you do a second warning. Then you pause the match. If it happens a third time, and it's said all the way through, and it's said before the match, before you come in, there are banners that say, if this happens, that happens. A video is played where the players on the Mexican national team in Spanish are saying, this doesn't reflect us. Don't do it. This will hurt us. Don't do it. And so it's all there. You educate, you set it up from the beginning, and then you warn, suspend, forfeit. And it's a very straightforward progression.
Yeah, and who knows what point it's going to get to, and hopefully it doesn't get to that point where they've got to do that. But
I don't think it will.
But I think about this is like it's been heavily marketed to Mexico.
Yes.
And it's a very much a cross-border kind of, desire to have that kind of atmosphere by the team, and which is understandable completely. I mean, it's pretty much every team in San Diego would love to have that if available. The Padres do it too. And it's great to have that kind of unity and that kind of buy-in from both sides of the border. But it sounds like this is a chant that really originated in Mexico. Am I wrong? Okay.
No,
okay.
Not at all.
So
and it's part.
So it might be, it might take that. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what it's going to take, but clearly, I mean, I've heard, like we talked about, that, from some people that it just doesn't, it's this, it's that. Other people, it's this, it's that. But the truth is, to me, is it's like the team has clearly said where they stand on it.
Right.
And I thought there was a caller, actually, I don't know your name, sir, but you called into Ben and Woods this morning that said, these are the house rules. You got to play by the house
100%.
rules. And those are their house rules. And so that's just an honor thing. Like if you don't want to go, then, same with like a bag, you have to bring a certain type of bag into Petco Park. You don't want to play by those rules. You don't like it. You just don't go, or you're mad about it, you grumble about it, but you go to the game anyways. And that might be the thing here with SDFC, like maybe you don't agree with it, but you're going to go to the game anyways.
Right. Absolutely. And, honestly, I very much look forward to this being put in the past. I think what's happened is this unique confluence of the soccer community, right? That's already been in San Diego, a new group of fans that are dipping their toe in the water. And then just like you talked about, there's been a lot of South Border marketing. Yeah. And you're bringing across some Mexican fans who maybe feel like, even though, trust me, this is being drummed out at Liga MX matches. Well, it's not like it's okay at a Cholos match.
Right. But I don't even know that we don't know. Is it Mexico fans? Is it fans that live right here in San Diego that,
right. That are happen to be L3 fans themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, you don't know. Well, what you do know is that it happened. It happened too many times. It got louder instead of softer. And when that happens, it usually means we've had the groupthink mentality has taken place. But I would like to say before we transition, if you'd like to try and understand something more about this, and if you're maybe a little bit new to it, if you do still go on Twitter, a friend of mine, Travis Peterson, wrote last evening, I thought, a very eloquent, 20 tweet thread At Punk Rock Paint is his handle, at Punk Rock Paint.
Mm-hmm.
And it recognizes, first and foremost, that for a lot of folks who just attended their first soccer match, they're simply confused because they think that something fun was happening. Because it seems fun. You hear the hey, and it's a group come together. Whoa, they said something when the goalkeeper kicked the ball. I don't know what that word is. Maybe it's some soccer word. I don't know. I'm here for the first time. That sounds fun. Hey, kids, let's do that next time they kick the ball. This seems like a fun little tradition. You know, it's very easy for someone to walk in first time, have it happen around you, and think it's just, oh, yeah, this is something cool. And then furthermore, you might be Hispanohablante. You might be a native speaker, and you might say, you know, that word, when I'm with my friends, we say this way, and I think it's okay. But a simple reminder that empathy is a strength in the human condition. It is not a weakness. The ability to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, in someone else's mindset, and ask the question, not what does this mean to me, but what does this mean for the other people potentially that are out there? What's the consequence that I don't understand? It's
just not worth it. Like it, and the team is saying these are the consequences to you yelling this because we view it as a derogatory term and a discriminatory term, which I'm not here to say it's not, you know? So that like they've drawn that line in the sand, and you know what? Good for them to want to do that and to say very clearly, this is where we stand on it. These are the repercussions. I'm just, you know, now it's really up to you as a consumer how you're going to go about this, but you know what's going to happen if you continue to do it.
And literally, I hope this is the last time we talk about it.
Yeah, I hope so too. I don't know that it will be, but I hope so too.
I truly hope this is the last time we bring it up, and it's simply in a newsy fashion to state this is where this club is. This is where the supporters groups are. This is a unified front. This will change, and I'm glad. At least, you know, maybe with some awareness, we can understand why it changed. And if you're curious, I would recommend go check out my buddy Punk Rock Paint's tweet thread. Maybe it'll give you a little more understanding of where everyone from every side is coming on this. Okay, with all that, switch it back. Baseball, spring training. Hey, when we can get something new and fresh from Peoria, we're psyched. All right, we're excited for it. Here's Fernando Tatis Jr. on with MLB Network. We talked about Nando getting into Bad Bunny's agency and trying to get back some endorsement steam. Now let's hear what Nando had to say. It looks like he's with Greg Amsinger of MLB Network.
What did you think of his rookie year?
Oh, amazing. I'm definitely happy for what he did. You know, coming in, changing position, and becoming one of the best players right away last year is, you know, amazing to see in front of your eyes, and really happy for him.
You're a terrific right fielder. At the beginning of the year, did you think to yourself, I need to help this kid out a little bit? How quickly did he catch on to playing center field?
Right away. It was something that was right away. Definitely he had it inside of him, and he didn't need that much help, you know. If we talk a little bit out there, but man, he definitely had it, and he was definitely a great center fielder. He is a great center fielder.
He's a fun kid to watch. I want to say something that a lot of fans in New York are going to like to hear. I think you know where I'm going with this. I felt like Padres-Dodgers was the actual World Series. Yeah. It was so intense. It was such an epic event to watch. What were your thoughts when it all came to an end, when you look back at how incredible that series was?
To the end, I mean, I was definitely heartbroken. That was the first thing, but you know, going back and seeing the review of all the series, man, it was just great baseball all the way around. You know, the environment, the emotions that everybody showed out there, it was definitely up the chart. And the game of baseball that was played in those moments, it was the highest level of games that I have been part of.
Well, look, you know I'm a huge fan of yours. I say that my favorite shortstop in baseball plays right field for the San Diego Padres. But you have a cannon of an arm, and I think you might have the best right field throwing arm I've ever seen. So you want to play a game with me? Let's look back at some of my favorite right field throwing arms of all time. I'm going to start with Dave Parker in the 1970s. The Cobra, newly elected into the Hall of Fame. I mean, in the 70s, Fernando, this is a cannon of an arm, is it not?
It was. I was 20 years before I was born, but yeah.
Dave can throw it, man. He can throw it. All right, now, how about this one? Let's go to the 90s. Raul Mondesi with the Los Angeles Dodgers. This guy loved to throw the baseball, right?
he was amazing. He was a great talent, a great, it was great just to see him out there, and he definitely had a great arm.
An amazing arm. All right, I've got a couple other ones. My personal favorite people to forget about is Mark Whitten with the St. Louis Cardinals. I know your dad knows Mark Whitten. Hard hitting Mark Whitten. He could throw it low on a line, which, as you know, you can do that.
Yeah.
Some right fielders can't keep the ball to where it can be cut off and still throw someone out at home plate, right? Yeah. There's an art to it.
Definitely art to it. And I mean, the rotation of the ball, the momentum that is going on, being able to give a chance to your infield to make a decision and steal the ball, go through the infield and still make a play on the home plate is definitely a game changer.
Now, the one that I would compare you to the most, and I know he's not as tall as you, but Ichiro Suzuki also had a cannon. He moved like a middle infielder, which is obviously your agility as well and your athleticism. Yes. I just feel like Ichiro's the closest comp to you in right. He's had some amazing throws. What do you think of that comparison?
I'm flattered. I mean, Hall of Famer, what he did his entire career was amazing. And, being compared to him is definitely a blessing. And now let's try to do it a little bit even better.
Did I miss anyone?
Yeah, shout out to Vladdy and shout out to
Vladdy Sr., yes.
Vladdy Sr. and shout out to Jeff Francoeur. My favorite was seeing him pick him off the wall and from there just going straight to wherever position where he wanted to go.
See, we're talking about a passion of ours, throwing a baseball from right field with Fernando Tatis Jr. But before I let you go, Fernando, we're getting social. So I've got a viewer who sent me a social media tweet. Tedford wants to know, how are you going to fill the missing pieces that you lost from last year? So let's just focus in on Jurix and Profar not being on the team anymore.
That's my friend. Definitely going to miss him. But, now we got to keep moving forward. But we definitely have a great group in there. We have the talent and we're not afraid of coming out and doing it a bit better now.
Fernando, thank you, man. Have a great year, okay?
That was so damn devious at the end from Greg Amsinger. And this has to, Annie, this has to be the new interview technique, right? Like, why doesn't everyone do this? Hey, here's a softball, a softball, a softball, a softball, a softball. Hang on. We've actually got some social media questions. Billy in Tuskegee says, why do you get injured so many times? And did you lie about your motorcycle accident?
Look what that guy said. I didn't say that.
I mean, not
that
me.
That guy said it.
Not me. I would never.
I would never say what this guy asked.
That was Billy in Tuskegee. What? It's here. It's on social media. What do you want?
Yeah, I've seen this style used quite a bit last year too, with some people putting out the social media requests. Maybe didn't want to do some of their own interviewing. I don't know, but I don't know how often are they. How often are they actually real? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like, is the handle real or whatever? Who knows? But plus, you're like, you're finding the one that you think you can ask, and like, there's certain ones you're definitely not asking, and then there's certain ones you're probably not doing a whole lot of research, and you're just taking what the fans tell you, which is nothing against what the fans say, but would be good to do your own too.
I'm not going to ask him about Profar leaving. Let's let this guy ask him about Profar leaving. I'll just be the messenger. Brilliant.
I love though hearing him talk about like some of the guys who had cannons of arms. I look forward to Fernando throwing someone out. I look forward to that throw from right field, and because he is so good at it, and he does send it like right down the line, like they were talking about, and it's coming, and he does that thing now where he blows out his guns and then puts them back in his pocket, which I always crack up at. So I'm looking forward to you doing that, Fernando. So is probably someone on social media, but we'll tell you about it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, good stuff all the way around. I liked those comparisons in terms of arm strength. I don't know that Amsinger seemed to think that Ichiro was the closest comp. I kind of feel Mondesi personally is a closer comp. Both Dominicanos.
I have no idea.
Yeah, but just, old card coming out again. So sorry. Let me pull this out. I grew up watching Raul Mondesi, El Cañón, as they called him. And he had the strongest arm you could imagine, and also not always perfectly accurate.
Yeah.
So you'd use it a lot. Every once in a while you'd miss. but
little off course.
but but you were afraid. You were absolutely afraid,
Yeah.
and you would hold up every time, and that's
I mean, that's part of it, right? The fear that how this guy can throw, and if he's on target, he's gonna get you out.
Yeah, I mean, Larry Walker was one of those guys. Larry Walker had such a strong, accurate arm that people just wouldn't run.
Yeah,
there's been lots of Vladdy. That's another. Actually, I would even say Vladdy and Tatis's arm are very, very similar.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah, Tatis might be better. Actually, he might be a little bit better. But hey, it's got to be fun to be in that category all the way around.
100%. And it's got to feel good. I mean, look, clearly, when you ask players this question, what feels better, a home run or this or that? They pretty much 99.9% of the time they'll say a home run, but it's got to feel good to throw someone out with that arm sometimes. And just to know you got him. You got him. Good luck running on him. So be fun to watch again.
It'd be also kind of fun to track the total number of runs saved over a season, like on the moments where it's first and second, one out, base hit to right field, runner holds at third. Just runner holds. Tatis didn't even have to make the throw.
Is he going to try him? Right. Yeah.
Tatis is just there, and he goes, nope, hold, and then you get a pop out or a strikeout. You get out of it, get a double play, and it was like, boom.
Yeah, that's how you know. You got the fear in them.
We've got the Padres Deep Dive Hour coming up, including the Daily Shilt, right after this. Baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com. Get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. It's hour number 2. Annie and Elsten. Welcome back, everybody. Annie Heilbrunn, Craig Elsten, Braden Suprenant, together on 97.3 FM radio, talking to you in your cars. Whoa, what's happening? How are you? We are also on the Odyssey app, streaming worldwide, AUDACY, free to download, free to use. You can rewind on it. You can leave a voice message on it for the show. Leave us a voice message. We'll play it during Ask Us Anything later in the program. Thanks to everybody who is joining us streaming. If you're streaming from out of country, why don't you leave us a voice message and tell us where you are? That would be fun. That'd be just fun information. We'd all enjoy it together.
Oh, yeah. It's cool to learn that people are like international or in another part of the country or even another part of California.
So please, if you did, do that. We are also, of course, a podcast. Hello to everybody listening after the show's over and we've already gone home. On every podcatcher imaginable, but leave us a 5-star review if you're there on Apple Podcasts or you're there on Spotify, the two biggest ones. It does help out the show. Last but not least, we're a YouTube show. Does come in handy sometimes. Like if you were watching last hour, you would have seen all those throws that Greg Amsinger and Fernando were discussing.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a highlight. I don't even know how I'm going to translate it to radio, but once I saw it this morning, I had to put it in. I think it's the best goal I've ever seen in my life. I think it actually might be the single most ridiculously skilled
Wait a minute.
goal in my life.
Hold on a second. You, a soccer play-by-play guy, said, I don't know how I'm going to translate it to the radio audience. You are their eyes, my guy.
I know,
Describe it for them.
Well, we're going to have to take the commentaries in Spanish, so that's what makes it.
I'll mute it.
Okay,
and
that's what makes it a
you
little
can do the
tricky.
play-by-play yourself.
Yeah.
Play-by-play guy.
But,
Come on.
Flying back heel kick. Like spinning flying back heel kick. Anyways, that's coming up. So you can see it.
What was the nickname you gave yourself yesterday?
No, not me.
Chromaniac. No, you gave it to
Yeah, you gave it to
yourself.
No,
yourself.
that's a
Chromaniac.
character. It's not me.
We got to hear the
That's
Chromaniac
not
call.
me.
The Chromaniac call of this impressive goal.
Yes,
That's
Burns
right.
Rose, the Ovalle goal. Yes, that is right. Burns Rose in the chat. The Ovalle goal.
Also, I need
is what I'm
money.
talking about.
I need money wins. Comment of the day
He does.
today.
Definitely.
Nobody
for
can
sure.
beat him today.
He's got the dub.
He is one. Now he might, if he throws in the Poway East County stuff, he's just going to just continue to hurt his
Get
status.
fouled out.
But
at
as
that
of
point.
right now, he won the day with the comments
Very, very well
in
done.
the chat. If you want to see it, go on YouTube.
All right.
Scroll through the chats.
Let's get into the Daily Shilt for the day and your spring training update /
Flash look.
report for the flash look. That was good. That was very good.
Thank you.
Okay. Starting with Padres are playing a split squad game today. So if you didn't know that, 2 for the price of 1. I believe both are being televised. Stream of eyes. You know what I mean? Like,
Ooh, okay, the Cubs are probably doing theirs, right?
And then the Padres on Padres.tv
right.
are doing theirs.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Double dose of baseball today.
looking forward to it. And as is the custom tradition and honor of a split squad day, the veterans stay home and the kids go away.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it works. So your home squad lineup against the Giants: Arise at first base, Tatis DH, Merrill in center, Machado at third, Crony at second, Bogarts at short, Hayward in left, Ornelas in right, Maldonado catching, and he's catching Nick Pivetta.
I would think. Wait, who's your 5 and 6 again? Who's it?
Crony Bogarts.
To me, this screams like at least the top 4. This screams like their lineup. Do you think the top 4, the top
I think
6,
the top 7.
the top 7? Who's 7?
Hayward.
Okay, so Hayward or mixing out with whoever is,
Right.
If he's not in the game. But I think I was a little curious about how they were going to do the 3-4 spot. I don't think you were, but I thought maybe that Jackson wouldn't be the 3 spot just because I thought, I don't know.
They love
hasn't
lefty,
Manny
righty,
played?
lefty,
I know
righty.
they do cleanup,
Yeah.
and I don't think they'd put Jackson at cleanup, but then you're right. It would break up the whole left, right. So this is how I think you're looking.
I think this is actually, I think this has a really good chance to be the starting lineup on
Yeah.
opening day. Now, Understanding that if Chris Sales starts on opening day, it screws the whole thing up because you've got the lefty platoons in. So you might have Connor Joe in, or you might have someone else in. But the first time we face a righty in anger in a real game, I think it's going to be Arise, Tatis, Merrill, Machado, Cronenworth, Bogarts, Hayward, and maybe Ornelas as the DH, Diaz or Maldonado or Camposano. Whoever they settle in on as the catcher hitting ninth, or you could keep it truly rolling and you could put the catcher eighth and the DH ninth. But, either way, with tiny little adjustments, I think we're there. I think this is pretty much it. And I think this is how it's going to roll.
Yeah, and Tyler in the chat makes a good point. I mean, you've got Merrill sandwiched between Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado. It's going to be a little tough for the pitcher, and so Merrill might get a little something to him every once in a while, as they prepare. But I don't know, you're gonna Merrill's a threat too. So this is going to be a good top of the lineup, I think, for whoever they're facing.
I loved Jackson's comments last weekend when
about
he
protection.
Yes, because what he said was, hey, when I'm hitting fifth, honestly, I hope Xander wasn't listening close, because he was kind of saying when I was hitting fifth, I really didn't have very much protection. So I would need to sometimes that 2-strike pitch, a little out of the zone or a little high. I still have to go after that.
Yeah, he's got to get that.
Right, because I'm trying to produce. I'm trying to drive in a run. Because if I'm hitting third, I'm protected. I can look for my pitch, and I need to walk more. He said it.
That. Yeah.
He said, I need to walk more. And yes, when you're the 3-hitter, you can't be screwing up the vibe by not giving Manny his chance to hit bases loaded because you're swinging at a pitch out of the zone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a good growth place, honestly, for Jackson, because he is like, I think, he has been set on walking more. He did definitely read, or I don't know definitely, but I got my money on, since he said he reads all his articles about him. He read that Fangraphs piece that said, he needs to walk more and do his homework. But exactly that. I mean, you have to be unselfish, and especially in that top of the lineup there, because you know who's around you and you know the damage that they can do. So he is that kind of player. So I think that you're going to see probably more walks from him. You're going to see more passing the baton. He'll take his shots when he has the ability, but as long as these guys are hitting around him, you could have a pretty dominant 1 through 4 there for sure. Maybe even 1 through 6 or 1 through 7.
And now I'm sure Mike, when we get to the Daily Shilt, won't actually say it, but one of the things I like about a day like this and having these two lineups is it gives you one of those context clues as to where races are going. And this is what I mean by that. Here's the B squad lineup for Padres at Cubs. Eggy Rosario leads off at third base. Gavin Sheets bats second at DH. Connor Joe, left field, hitting third. Oscar Gonzalez, SpongeBob SquarePants, cleaning up right field. Campy.
He was number 1.
He was. Campy hitting fifth at catcher. Trenton Brooks, who we definitely now know and remember and is from Alpine and Granite Hills, but we did not remember last week. At least I didn't. Hitting sixth. Lockridge in center field. Trey Dungan at second base, and Mason McCoy at shortstop. It is Matty Waldron heading out there for his third start of the spring, and probably going to get a chance to maybe even go 4 innings or 3+ innings today. So, but the one I'm looking at that is Ornelas, A squad, Sheets, B squad. As Sammy and I talked about yesterday, I think these two are fighting for that left-handed hitting DH role. And today, Rosario's playing with Ornelas is playing with the big boys, and Sheets is playing on the B team. Yeah,
it's a really good competition. And look, there's a lot at stake. Again, you got to be careful with spring training, right? Like, how much do you read in? How much do you not? What kind of pitchers are they facing, et cetera, et cetera. But they're doing their part in terms of putting eyes on themselves and making themselves part of the competition, and at least not pushing themselves out of it. That's the biggest thing in this situation.
100%. So something to keep an eye on. And I've got I brought the iPad in today, so I'm going to at least have the A squad game on. I hope both games are televised. Maybe we'll find them both and keep you up to date in the second half of the show as to what's going on. And don't forget, all the weekend spring training action is carried live right here on 97.3 The Fan. So stay tuned for all of that. All right. I think I saw the Daily Shilt out. Let me check Braden. I think it's on Sammy's, or am I wrong? Maybe not. Could have sworn I saw something. a minute ago.
Oh, he lines up in the same spot every day. Oh, there you go. I got it on the page. We got 2 things from Shilt today.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's. Oh, there they are. There they are. Okay, yeah. Let's go. Let's go into the Daily Shilt then. Here we go with today's proclamations from Padres manager Mike Shilt. And what do we have in clip number 1?
Latest update on Manny Machado status, what the plan is with Kyle Hart, and how things are going with Nick Pivetta.
I haven't seen the lineup. I apologize.
That's okay.
Manny's in there.
Manny's in there, feeling better. So, if something is a little wonky, that we'll make an adjustment. But he's had a good couple of days and feels like he can go play today.
So playing with Kyle Hart.
He's going to get in the game. Yeah, he's going to get another look on the backfield, and then he's going to get in the game soon. I wish I could tell you the exact date, but I'll get it to you.
Does that have to do with like his off season? I mean, was there anything different about that, or what? Is he working on things?
A little bit of both. I mean, his off season was productive. He feels good. Just creating some familiarity with him in a more of a comfortable setting.
Have you seen Nick? I know Nick's throwing today. Have you seen him in camp so far?
You know what? He's gone about it very well. We're very pleased with Nick. Real professional. Goes about it in a very, veteran way. He just does a good way about him. Saw him a little bit the other day in a live setting, but would like to see him throw today. But again, going on the road with the boys, so looking forward to hearing how he throws.
All right. Good stuff from Shilty part 1, but there's part 2 yet to come. The Daily Shilt. What's in part 2?
Part 2 of 2. Mike Shilt discussed how he views the role of longman in his bullpen in Brian Hoying's absence and the importance of Nick Pivetta's veteran presence. Here we are.
Bing.
The long man in the bullpen, assuming that Hoying would be unavailable on opening day. How do you view that role in the bullpen and what the possibilities in this camp are?
I think we look at the aggregate of the whole. We'll figure out how we're going to build up some of the relievers we have. We don't want to extend them beyond what they need to at this part of the season. We'll have some one-inning guys that will be more towards the back end, but we'll start the process. Had a conversation with Ruben and Fritzy about it, about starting to build guys up appropriately, and then see how that works, and then look to see where we're at. The schedules, we got a lot of Thursdays off, so we have some time away, but that other 7 will dictate the 8th.
Nick, again, that veteran presence that he brings. Obviously, you've got some veterans in the rotation, but how does that help stabilize?
Big time. It's a guy that knows been in the league a long time, knows what he's doing, established starter. And you can't have enough of those guys. Eats innings, knows how to prepare, competes well, has all the weapons. So, we've got a really strong rotation.
Have you gotten a taste for his intensity yet?
Have not. No, but he's a very, like the other day through his bullpen and came in and, the medical group was like, man, this guy's really serious and intentional about how he does his recovery. And so he's checks every box on how to prepare and how to compete. So we'll look forward to seeing what it looks like today.
It's crazy how one move just changed all our feelings kind of about what the winter was like. There was just that whole feeling. It wasn't just that the Padres were losing people, because Atlanta didn't do a lot either.
Yeah.
Philadelphia didn't do a lot either, right? Other teams didn't do a lot, but it was like this feeling of like, nope, we're handcuffed, we're restrained, we can't do anything. Oh man, well, we just can't do it. So to see Nick Pivetta come in, just think about how different it is that we're not talking about Waldron right, for the back end of the rotation.
Yeah, it would really drop off there in the back end of the rotation, or at least we'd perceive that. Of course, you could have some guys step up this year and make that untrue, but to have a more experienced guy kind of, it hits a little different than it does to have the less experienced guys, although I think that they will, at least 1 or 2 of them will make a jump this year, and hopefully in that 5 spot and show that they can handle more responsibilities. And we saw how they did that last year, and they did a good job of filling in when they needed to, when guys were hurt, and keeping this team afloat. So hopefully we get some more of that. But credit to AJ Preller for putting together those $1 million deals and being able to get Nick Pivetta with not a lot of money this year.
Plenty more to come on the Padres Deep Dive Hour. And in the next segment, as we continue to thank MLB Network for swinging through the Peoria Sports Complex. You will hear from Dylan Cease as well as Manny Machado. And later on in the hour, Sammy Levitt with Tyler Wade. All that still on the way as we work our way toward the 12 o'clock sports fix at the top of the hour. It's Annie and Elsten, your midday hang on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Craig Elsten here for Underdog, which is now available to play in the state of California this basketball season. When your favorite stars score, you score the opportunity to win money from watching sports with Underdog. It's all about daily fantasy sports, the opportunity to choose whether one player is going to go higher or lower on one of their stats, like points, assists, rebounds, and more. You come up with 2 different players from 2 different teams, at minimum as many as 8. Come up with the plan that you like and put it into action on Underdog. You can play with as little as a $1 entry. And if you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Yeah, $1 into $1,000, not impossible on Underdog. It's so much fun. There's so much optionality. And the thing I love about it is every day there's something different for you, whether it could be a boost for a potential entry that you make, whether it might be a recovery, a special deal. Underdog keeps it lively every day and makes you want to come back to the app every day to find out what's new. All you have to do is download the Underdog app right now. Go to your app store. Find Underdog, download it for free, and sign up using the promo code Craig, C-R-A-I-G. That'll unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun. Sign up with promo code Craig. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona and Massachusetts, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Listen to Inside San Diego Baseball with Sam Levitt. Do it Wednesdays, 7 to 9. It's right here on 97 Through the Fan and on our YouTube page. Sam joining you live from Peoria, talking all things Padres baseball, keeping you up to date on the latest rumors, and keeping Frank Marchese in check. That's generally what happens on Inside San Diego Baseball. Listen for yourself tomorrow night from 7 to 9 p.m., right after the Scraby Chronicles. The Voyage to Scrabistan.
He had a double gripe yesterday.
No way.
Yeah, it was a two gripes, double gripe Monday.
Double gripe Monday?
God,
Is that a
his
thing?
first one was, I meant to text him. His
Double
first one
gripe
was something that I was like, you know what, Scraby? Yes. Like it was something, I can't remember what it was right now, but
Really
I'm
made
going to
an
have to
impact on
ask him
you.
later when I see him. Yeah, it was something that I felt like we could all identify with.
Got it.
His second one was, I think, mean people, like
Yeah,
something
they
about
suck.
mean people and
Mean
like
people.
stores or something. Anyways, double gripe Monday. Yeah.
Mean
Double
people
gripe.
mean people suck. I agree.
Yeah, it was something like that. But the first one, Scraby, I feel like there was one that I was like, yep, you're right, dude.
Mean people.
He's right about mean people too.
Yeah,
Does anybody like
no,
mean
he
people?
is,
Man,
yeah.
I really like when people are mean to me. Have a weird thing.
If you don't like mean people, you're soft.
That's right.
All right. Let's swing back through the Peoria Sports Complex, where the Stars came out to chat to MLB Network's Greg Amsinger, including Dylan Cease. Of course, Dylan, the ever so chill dude, doesn't get the heart rate too high, had to handle all the trade rumors, not just in 2024's offseason, but in 2023's offseason. He had to deal with rumors the entire winter, spring, and summer. So he's a veteran of this. He knows he's going to get paid at the end of the year.
Yeah, for sure.
And he knows he's going to settle down at that point, and things are going to be a lot more chill in Dylan Cease's career. But right now,
Yeah,
one more
he's
year.
going to be somewhere for a few years, most likely, or
Yeah.
more than at least 1 year or two.
I would suspect so.
I think so. Yeah.
I think he gets Corbin's deal,
Mhm.
Corbin Burns' deal next winter. Nonetheless, here's Dylan Cease chatting with MLB Network. Oh, it's with Yonder.
Yonder.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
Right, I'm the hitter, but today we're talking pitching. I want you to take me through your checklist. I want you to take me through what happens in spring training. We know you're a velo guy. We know you're a spin guy, but in order for all those things to work, a checklist has to come in place, especially, when you're taking that mound April 1st. So take me through the most important things you got to go through in between pitches for you on the mound to make sure you're executing.
Yeah, and honestly, it really starts, even months before this, with a throwing program, keeping the arm moving, all that. But for me, mechanically, I try to keep it pretty simple. I think you've seen me do the core velocity belt. That's a big tool I use to get my lower half working. But it seems like every year the biggest thing I have to focus on is gaining length down the mound and going this way as opposed to just lifting and throwing early. And a lot of times the shape of the pitch and the sharpness and how it's coming out will tell me what needs to be refined and how it needs to be refined. So, for like the first, it feels like 2 weeks of spring, I don't get a lot of consistency, meaning I'll go to throw a slider and I'll aim it down the middle, and one will break on the plate, one will go up and not do anything, and one will, be almost more like a cutter. So, a lot of times it's just fine tuning and seeing what the pitch is doing, and then making adjustments here and seeing what works. So
When you're making those adjustments, is it something that, hey, let me stand on this side of the mound, let me stand on that side of the mound, or
No.
where am I landing back down there?
no, for me it's more feel, and I think especially the longer you play and you do it, your mechanics kind of get ingrained into they become more second nature, and then it becomes more of refinement and then putting more power into it, because that's another aspect of it where it's like your mechanics can be good, but if you're throwing a bullpen at 88, 90 and your slider's 82, that's not going to be how much power is behind it in the real game. So it's not going to be as sharp, little things like that. So really in spring training, it's a lot of building your arm up, and then for sure refining mechanics. And that's a process that takes time. You can't do it in a week.
Where do you stand on the mound?
I've been pretty much dead center.
Dead center. We
as
see
of
a lot
late,
of guys
yeah.
here.
Go
We
off
see a
the
lot of guys
side,
back there.
Yeah.
You're dead center.
Yeah, pretty much dead center.
And you want to gain ground, say, somewhere in here?
Yeah, and
and be as
I'm not
consistent?
worried. I'm not really worried about how far I get down or anything like that. It's more of what the pitch is doing and am I executing, you know? So it's and for every pitcher it's different, but I know when I'm going good, I just feel this little bit of, really it feels like my knee, groin, everything, I just get a little bit of ground gained. And yeah, I mean, it's getting down the mound, staying closed, and then seeing what the pitch does.
I'm gonna have fun with you on this question because
Yeah.
for me, I always like to. All right, my favorite home run was dead central.
Yeah.
Your favorite pitch executed perfectly that you can remember right now. Take me through that. Which one is
Off the
it?
top of my head?
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of sliders obviously I can think of, especially in 22 when I feel like I was putting my slider wherever I wanted to.
Yeah.
It's always satisfying to dot a fastball inside for strike 3. That comes to mind, but I'd have to go check the highlight reel out to tell you.
Greg, I'm telling you, man, we're gonna see some sliders. We're gonna see some fastballs, 4-seamers at the top of the zone. Nasty changeup. This guy is in for a hell of a season.
Maybe some new additions. We'll see.
Yeah, that's the 2-seamer right there. He's teasing the 2-seamer at the end of that, Andy.
This 2-seamer that he's been working on that I guess Mike Shilt is very excited about and gives hitters a different look along with his other pitches. So, you got the pitch going to run in, one's going to run out, one's going to sink a little, obviously sink away. So it's like he's got his pitches, and I think the more he adds, if he's able to utilize. Now he did this last year. Remember, he had the changeup too, and it didn't really work out for him. Like the changeup, he would use it here or there. So we'll see how much like each gets used. But I think his changeup's been looking better as well too. So I'm excited to see what he's been working on.
Yeah, really, his third pitch was knuckle curve. It wasn't slider, right? It was knucky curveball.
Yeah.
So yeah, changeup, 2-seamer. These are 4th and 5th pitches. They're things that you do in spring training.
Yes.
It's like, hey, maybe, and then if you throw it 25 times in the season, okay.
If you can execute a few of them here and there, that at least keep the hitter off balance, or keep them honest because you don't know if it's coming. I think it's worth it. He's going to mess with it. How much he uses it in the regular season, we'll see. But if you can kind of use it in your arsenal to just kind of give a different look every once in a while and make the hitter think a little bit more, it's worth it in that sense.
I just got to say, and we're going to go to break. I really enjoy Dylan Cease being on the Padres. Like, I like this guy. Every time I hear him speak, he's an intellectual. He's got a very pleasant, kind of calm, but he thinks through stuff, like he's very thoughtful. I wish, like, we all get it. He's a Boris client. He's going to free agency. He's probably not going to be here, but like in a different universe, I would love to commit to Dylan Cease long-term because he's very thoughtful about his craft. Yeah.
Dylan is he's very much a thinker. He goes by a lot of Buddhist principles. He has throughout his career gone and cultivated deep thinkers that have, been part of like society, that he's, gone to their, workshops or had conversations with them, because he is like an existential kind of guy. Like he is like thinks about the universe, thinks about all kinds of things, has his honey, has his bees, he paints, he's kind of Renaissance man So I think he has a healthy relationship with the sport, in that you heard him talk about earlier this season, how if he's traded, then he just goes and plays baseball somewhere else. I don't think that it's that he doesn't like San Diego or love being here, but I think his outlook is just very like, I don't know how you would say it, kind of like Buddhist principles. Then I will go there and I will play baseball, and and then I'll just kind of move forward with my life in that direction. So he is someone that I think is a cool addition to a clubhouse because he is a little different than other guys. But his relationship with baseball, I think, is one where it's just as important as other things in his life, which are just as important. You know what I mean? And that can be very healthy sometimes. I think fans sometimes see that and they're like, quit painting, or, quit reading the books, or quit making the honey, or whatever. But I actually think he has a very healthy relationship with all his other hobbies and baseball, and the way he kind of looks at it.
Yeah. If he
likes cats. That's right, Jocelyn.
If he was answering questions to Yonder, like, yeah, man, I don't know. I just grab the ball and throw
golf,
it.
Yeah.
I just grab the ball and I throw it, man. Like, I don't know. I just show up on game day and I just throw the pill.
Yeah.
And then you said, yeah, but he also does all this other stuff. Then I'd be like, well, I wonder if he really cares about baseball, or if he cares about it less than other things. But no, Dylan Cease wants to do whatever makes his brain light up. You know what I mean? And sometimes that is refining a two-seamer. And sometimes that's looking very clinically like, oh, I threw this slider this way, that happened. Now I'm going to do it this way. What happens? Now I'm going to do it this way. What happens? But also, at the very same curious mind might put down the ball, go have a shower, and pick up a book that he is fascinated in and he is trying to learn more about, or pick up a Frisbee because he wants to bend it around that tree. You know, like he just has that innate curiosity that makes you an intellectual.
Yeah, he's very free thinker, and he's a very individual, like in terms of like he's his own guy. He's gonna dress how he wants, act how he wants, that sort of thing, but not in a what's the word I want to use? Not in a way that is like trying to prove a point, just in a way of this is who he is, So he did a cool painting last year. He did such a cool painting that was floating around the clubhouse for a while that Michael King used at his benefit fundraiser for the King of the Hill Foundation.
Yeah.
And it was very like Padres centric, and he added all these elements like that made it, very season, had all these themes running through it for the season, and brought it into the clubhouse. And Michael King took it and I think auctioned it off at the benefit. And, it's just kind of cool to sometimes see his hobbies and learn a little bit more about them.
Yeah.
He's very Ocean Beach. Yes, Jeff.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
In a different world, I'd love for him to be a Padre for life. I don't know if that world exists here where we are, but for life. Okay, let's take our last time out of the hour. When we come back, more Padres Deep Dive Hour coverage. We've got Manny Machado teed up from MLB Network and Tyler Wade with Sammy Levitt. Two great interviews to bring you in the next segment as we continue toward 2 p.m. It's Annie and Elsten, your midday hang on 97.3 The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Robert Half. 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring, but Robert Half is here to help. Our recruiting professionals utilize an award-winning AI to connect business with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. Andy and Elsten back with you, Padres Deep Dive Hour. We've got a couple of interviews to offer you here, so let's get into it so we have the opportunity to chat around it. This is MLB Network, Yonder with his brother-in-law.
I caught up with him. I asked him, hey, do you feel like not only yourself is as healthy as it gets, but also can you run the NL West? Here's what he had to say.
Absolutely. I mean, what we did last year as an organization, as a team, you know, a lot of people didn't expect that from us. And, you know, we overcame a lot of things, a lot of adversities, and built something pretty special here. And, you know, coming into this season, man, we got the same squad going out. Obviously, we're missing some pieces that left. But, you know, with the team that we got in there, man, we're ready to compete. We're ready to do, you know, handle the unfinished business that we have.
You know, you played 150-plus games last year. It's funny because you haven't had a full spring training in quite some time. And everybody thinks that just because you played 150 games last year, you were healthy. What was that like last year? And then obviously coming into spring training this year, fully healthy.
Yeah, rehab, man. Like all last year was just straight rehab. You know, kind of not having your normal off-season routine of working out, bulking up, getting ready for a long season. I think the main part, you know, and you know this, it's you know, you want to bulk up in the off season so that you can withstand those 150 games, 162 games. You know, because in the season there's a lot of ups and downs. So, you know, not having that last year was kind of tough. You know, battling through rehab, kind of, you know, ups and downs of pains here and there on the elbow. Couldn't really do a lot of things. So, you know, to have a good off season this year, normal, kind of getting into a normal spring training and go out there, you know, be with the team on team fundamental stuff. It's been fun to do it, and I think you know, it's always a special way when you have a healthy spring.
I look at this roster, a bunch of special players all around, but what's going to be the key to this year's team?
Biggest thing is, man, just keep playing as a team. You know, I think it's if we handle the baseball, we handle the team, team defense, team baseball like we did last year. You know, moving guys over. You know, I think the biggest key for us, I think offensively, I think we're gonna have a good year, right? We have Toddy come back healthy. Myself, Bogey's gonna have a big year. Jackson, obviously, we're gonna you know, lead with him as well. But I think defense is gonna be the key for us. We, with our pitching staff, how we pitch, you know, use Petco to our advantage. You know, we clean up that defense and we become a top defensive team. I think you know, that's gonna take us a long way.
It's a really interesting comment, actually, from Manny Machado there, Annie, and thanks to Yonder Alonso and MLB Network for the interview. But when you do look at the Padres defensively, right, if Jason Hayward is out there, I think you could make an argument for the best defensive outfield in baseball with Merrill in center and Toddy in right.
Yeah.
Jackson talked to us back at FanFest about how he's trying to work on his route, so he just wants to, you know, have it kind of be second nature to him out at center field, where last year it was a learning experience.
Yeah.
But it should be a great defensive outfield. But then you get to the infield. Okay, Manny, perennial Gold Glove runner-up. Thanks for nothing, Nolan Arenado. But, you know, perennially known as one of the 3 or 4 best defensive third basemen in baseball. Xander Bogaerts, actually considered a fairly average shortstop. And then you get to the right side. There's been times where Jake Cronenworth is measured out really well at second base. Last year, not as much. Last year, his numbers were not as good at second base. And I think we all know Luis Arraez is not going to be the league's best first baseman. He's going to get by, you know, and he's going to do everything he can over there, but he's not going to pick a bunch of balls. He's not going to save a bunch of high throws, you know, due to his height. He's going to be no better than an average first baseman. So I like that comment because I think it does identify an X factor. Can him, Bogey, Crony, Arraez really tighten things up on the infield? The outfield should be set.
Yeah, you know what? Exactly, Craig. You know what I like about it too is that he cares about, like, Manny's looking at it. It's not like the Padres have a bad defense. It's not like they've ranked poorly defensively, you know, or it's cost them a ton of games or anything like that. But he has recognized it as a point of emphasis, just like you mentioned. And I think for the Padres to know what their positions are coming into this season, to have a full spring training where you're not going to the WBC or Korea or have COVID camp or anything like that to be able to work on that defense. He wants it to be one of the best defenses in the league. Like, I mean, he wants it to be like top notch. And I think that's a great thing if Manny's talking about it to reporters, Manny's talking about it more to the rooms that he's in with the meetings and to the people around him. And they're working on it even harder. So I think that this is kind of cool in the sense of like, okay, let's identify, like you said, like we've got some hiccups or some vulnerable spots here or there. So how are we going to make this defense like one of the best defenses in the league?
You know, the other thing I want to build out from that conversation is he talked about we need to keep playing the team game. We need to keep doing the small things. We need to keep advancing runners. Need to keep getting runners home from third, hitting the other way.
All the little things.
And all the small things. And last year, first-year hitting coach, first-year manager, change in culture, people buy in, amazing. I also think they had a lot of guys whose skill set matched intention.
Yes.
So I love him keeping that as a point of emphasis. 100% needs to happen. Guys like Arise, Tatis, Manny himself, Jackson, Bogey, Crony, these guys have to keep that in mind. Don't get pull happy. Don't get lift happy. Stay within the team game. I do have a question, though, Annie, as to the bottom of the order. Do they have the bat-to-ball skills?
Right.
Hayward, Diaz, etc., to be able to enact that plan?
I have that question, too. I think that the Petco Park offense that Victor Rodriguez is going to instill with these new guys is going to relieve some of the pressure of needing to be the hero or playing hero ball. You know, the top of the lineup, the superstars need to do what they need to do. And I think that's the big thing. Like, if they're producing as they are, you know, being paid to do, and that's not to say that they won't have some struggles throughout the season or they won't have some dull spots, they will. But for the most part, if they can produce the way that they need to, I think you can get the bottom of your lineup to play Petco Park baseball, to give you, like, you know, move the runners, line drives, gap to gap, all of that good stuff. And probably even run into, as we saw with Kyle Higashioka last year and Donovan Solano and David Peralta, probably even give you some hero moments naturally just by virtue of how things go, right? So I don't know. We're looking for a few of those guys to have comeback seasons, no doubt about it. Like, they've got to show that they're coming back. But in this kind of lineup, when everyone's going to kind of be looking at this bottom, like, hey man, we're worried about the top. Like, we got to get through the top. If you can, you know, make sure that you're on top of things, I think that this bottom of the lineup could sneak some really good offense or some good hits out and be productive throughout the season. And I also think with Manny, you know, like you said, it's the small things. Like we heard them talk about in the meeting that they had, the full team meeting or the hitters meeting that they had earlier this spring training. Last year is last year. Meaning we can't ride on what we did last year, which is what happened in 2023 to an extent. They kind of rode on what happened in 2022. It's over. We got as far as we did. We could have probably gotten the World Series if we had scored a little bit in those final 24 innings. But we did a lot of things well, but that's all in the past now. So to your point, you got to go out there and you got to do all those things again that you emphasized last year. You can't just sit back and think it's going to come naturally.
Great call. Great call. All right, let's switch from MLB Network coverage to Sam Levitt coverage, because Sammy has just been out there every single day grinding. He's been putting out some really cool video montages today. He did one this morning I saw of everything Yu Darvish does before he takes the field in terms of his pre-pitching routine. Check that out at Sammy Lev on the socials. And last week, he kind of bombarded us with a flood of interviews, a couple of which we didn't get the chance to get to. So here's one of the ones that he said he was actually proudest of and thought was a really sharp one, which was with Tyler Wade, the guy who has become, you know, Mr. Glue Guy for the San Diego Padres. Here's Tyler Wade with Sammy Levitt on the backfields.
Sam Levitt here in Peoria, Arizona at Padres spring training. And right now I'm joined by Padres infielder, sometimes outfielder even, Tyler Wade. Tyler, great to see you once again here in 2025 in the brown and gold. I want to start with something that your manager alluded to about you yesterday, and that was what you bring from a culture standpoint, from an energy standpoint. You were a really big part of this team in 2024, a team that won 93 games, and I think notably a team that was really tight, really close, played tough. What do you feel like you bring to this team and to this clubhouse?
Yeah, energy, like you said it, man. I feel like that's just, I'm charismatic. I like to have fun on the baseball field, and I think the guys in that room bring that out of me because everyone has the same common goal. and everyone likes to have a good time on the field. And this is like one of the first times I've played with a team that plays free and they play for one another. And it brings the best out of me, and I think it brings the best out of everybody else as well.
You could see that free nature last year, the way you guys interacted, and I thought the way you guys came back in games. I mean, it just throughout the year seemed like a really special group. What stood out to you about last year's group in the regular season in particular?
Yeah, I just think the willingness not to quit. Getting this guy coming up behind me right now.
He helped.
Yeah, setting the tone and everything like that. But yeah, man, I think that's the confidence in one another. And at the end of the day, like, it's not over till it's over, and those 27 outs are done. And it showed, man. It doesn't matter what the lead is or how much we're down by. We feel like we have a chance to win the game. Would you agree?
I agree, bro. He's one of the best teammates I ever see. So I ever play. He's one of the best. One of my favorite.
One of your best teammates ever.
Bro, he's a real teammate. So he support everybody, and then when he go play, he play like he play every day, you know. So that's why we love him a lot.
All right, Luis, appreciate
Love you, Luis.
Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
See, you never know what's going to happen here in Peoria. I
Never
love
do.
that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that guy, Luis Arise. He joins the team. It was mid-May, late May. It was almost a year ago at this point. Who can remember dates, right? He obviously is a tremendous pure hitter, but watching him every day, being around him, what stands out to you?
His consistency. What's up, Jay? His consistency, wanted to be great. He's one of those guys where you know exactly where he's at the exact time, and his routine is super. The focus level of his routine is something I've never seen before. It's very minimal, but it translates to the game, and you see it day in and day out. And it's something that for me helped me as a hitter, because you know, similar profiles. But yeah, I learned a lot from him, man. And he's a great part of this team. He's a big part of this team, and just seeing his energy like that, what makes me great is having guys like him. So
Jackson Merrill is a guy who shows up here last year, 20 years old. He's now 21. Obviously, when you think about where he was a year ago to where he is now, it's two totally different places.
Crazy.
What was it like for you? And I know you guys are close, to watch him accomplish what he did last year.
Yeah, so I knew he was going to be great from the day I met him. Obviously, coming here last year, I was new, and I was just kind of sitting back and watching, and I was obviously watching him because he was young and I knew who he was. But the willingness of learning and being a sponge and asking the right questions and the hunger, and then seeing how that translated into all the success he had, and he was the same guy every single day. He didn't get too high, too low, and man, I'm excited to see you too from Jackson.
One of my favorite things about last season, talking to you a lot, is you and I talked about your routine, because you're a guy who plays all over. You know, you could be on the bench, but you never know how you might impact a game. It could be defense, it could be a pinch hit appearance, it could be base running. You never quite know. This time of year, spring training, what are you doing to get ready for the really multifaceted role you have on this team?
We kind of talked about it last year. It's the same routine every single day. So when it's game 150, my routine hasn't changed. And I take pride in that. And, you know, Shilt and the staff does a really good job of communicating what my role will be. And I think it's one of those things where I know if the game's close, I'm going to be in the game. So that's just what my routine's tailored about. And I'm quite confident in my routine, and it makes me feel game ready. And kind of what Louis said, man, like I had to figure out a way in the last couple of years where if I'm not playing for 2 weeks, I got to know how to have a competitive in a bat and be game ready. So just trial and error and learning all that stuff. But I finally figured out that what I got going on from there now works.
Tyler, and you alluded to it, from a mental standpoint, you make a great point. You sometimes last year went, you know, a pretty good stretch where you might not get into a game. The situation may just not call for it. How do you mentally stay locked in so when that moment comes, if it's at whatever random time, you're ready to rock when you get in there?
It's the routine, man. It's being part of the routine. And kind of like we said, we may be out of the game, but you just never know. Like you saw last year, we're down by 7 runs in the 8th, and sure enough, we're right back in it. But also, man, I owe it to my teammates to be ready, right? Like the last thing I want is to not be ready for a big moment, because you never know when that moment's coming. So yeah, man, I take pride in that, and it's not an easy job and not an easy role, but it's something that I was blessed able to do, and I'm just trying to take advantage of it.
Finally, let's talk about Mike Shilt, because you and I were just talking before we started recording about, you know, bouncing around, and you've played for I'm sure a lot of different managers, both at the major league level, even going back to the minor league level. What stands out about Mike Shilt, the way he's run this team, and what are you looking forward to in that sense now that he enters year 2?
That's a good question. I think the human element of him is making guys feel comfortable. His communication. I think in this game, if you were to ask anybody in a major league clubhouse or even a minor league clubhouse, is the communication aspect of things. And I alluded to that earlier. Just you know where you're standing with Mike, and he makes you feel like you're the best version of yourself no matter what, man. And I told him earlier, man, he's a credit to all my success and all my my comfortability on this team from last year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to working with him year 2, and we got big goals ahead.
Well, Tyler, as always, appreciate the time. We got a great cameo from Luis as well. Good luck with everything this season. Great to have you back in San Diego, and we'll continue to talk to you throughout the year.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
That was such a fun interview.
Great stuff.
I mean, that spring training, like, encapsulated right there. Cool, casual interview, really chill dude. You find out so much more about him. And, like, yeah, you know, look, Tyler Wade, you know, he's one of those guys. He's the 25th or 26th guy on a roster. And if that sounds disparaging, understand that the number of major league players in the history of the world, guys who have found their way to the show, still wouldn't fill up Petco Park. It's just over 20,000 people who have had that ultimate honor. Tyler Wade's one of them, and he has not just found a major league job, Annie. He's found a home here in San Diego.
You got to give credit to Tyler Wade because he has stuck. I mean, Yankees, Angels, there's one more I can't forget. A's, thank you. Then the Padres. To have longevity for a guy who is not going to be your superstar, he's not necessarily going to be your leadoff guy, he's not, you know, it says something about Tyler Wade and the fact that every team has valued him. You know, the Yankees valued him, brought him back again after they let him go. I mean, that's just kind of the guy he is.
Great
and now he's going to be more comfortable in his second year to be able to even more so be that guy.
He'll be able to handle that one side of the Gatorade jug right next to Manny. Boop, pour it over. All the walk-off winners. Great to have Tyler Wade here. Thanks. It's great to have Sammy Levitt out at spring training. We are going to come right back with the 12 o'clock sports fix and all the sports news of the day next on Annie and Elsten. It's brought to you by the Craft Taco. Whether you're craving gourmet tacos for lunch or a craft beer for happy hour, the Craft Taco is the answer. Now open at the Natural History Museum in Balboa Park, as well as Sorrento Valley. Welcome back. 12 o'clock in America's Finest City, Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. It's time for your 12 o'clock sports fix. All the sports news from the night that was and the day that will be. We bring it to you each and every day in the noontime hour. And he's got a baseball report to get us kicked off.
All right, starting with the Padres, as we talked about earlier, Remus Sports, the agency co-owned by Puerto Rican rapper Bad Bunny, whose leaders have been suspended by the Baseball Players Union, announced a management deal Tuesday with Fernando Tatis Jr. Remus said it will oversee marketing, brand relations, and other services, working to, quote, expand his portfolio as an athlete, businessman, and philanthropist. According to manager Bruce Bochy, Texas is planning to have Jacob deGrom, who signed a 5-year, $185 million deal with the club ahead of the 2023 season, pitch at the back end of the rotation to open the season. The Rangers have been moving deGrom along slowly in his first spring post-Tommy John surgery, but so far the team is saying they are on track with him. Adam Duvall remains unsigned a few weeks into spring training. That was also the case last season. It wasn't until March 14th that the veteran outfielder inked a $3 million contract with the Braves. Well, Duvall is evidently seeking a similar or better deal this time around. Joel Sherman of the New York Post reported that the 36-year-old has informed teams that he intends to retire unless he's guaranteed at least $3 million, kind of like the Brandon Belt phase of his life. To that end, Sherman writes that Duvall declined an offer from the Royals that would have come with a $1 million guarantee and another $1 million in performance bonuses. And finally, the Royals announced that they will have a ceremony on May 31st to honor Mike Moustakas as he retires as a Royal. Presumably, he will sign a ceremonial one-day contract to retire with the club with whom he spent most of his career. The 36-year-old spent 13 years in the majors and won the World Series with the Royals in 2015. The three-time All-Star hit .247 with 215 homers and 683 RBI in 1,427 games, not 14. Over 1,000 games, almost 1,500. He also played for Milwaukee, Cincinnati, Colorado, and the Los Angeles Angels. So congrats to him on his career.
No doubt. The Moose.
Yes.
Well done, Mike Moustakas. Good on you, man. Let's head on over to Braden now.
NFL, college, and high school news today. We'll start with the National Football League. Philadelphia Eagles are rewarding Saquon Barkley with a 2-year, $41.2 million contract extension that makes him the highest paid running back in the National Football League history, according to Adam Schefter. The deal makes Barkley the NFL's first $20 million plus per year running back. Barkley, who's 28, also has the ability to earn an additional $15 million in incentives and escalators. Deal includes $36 million fully guaranteed at signing. Congratulations to Saquon. 3 weeks after parting with quarterback Aaron Rodgers, New York Jets are releasing his favorite wide receiver, Devontae Adams, the source told ESPN on Tuesday. Jets also have given permission to wide receiver Alan Lazard, another Rodgers favorite, to seek a trade before the start of the league year on March 12th. Sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter. In all likelihood, he too will end up being released. The Jets are undoing what they did 2 years ago when they went all in for Rodgers by acquiring some of his former Green Bay Packers teammates. Probably a wise decision. In college football, the ACC, Florida State, and Clemson ended their ongoing litigation Tuesday after agreeing to a settlement that changes the league's revenue distribution model and significantly reduces exit penalties for members wanting to leave the conference before 2036. ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips thanked all parties for their, quote, patience and dedication in getting a deal done, solidifying the conference for the near future. Shortly after the ACC board approved the move, the board of trustees for Florida State and Clemson approved the settlement terms. Clemson athletic director Graham Neff told his board the settlement is consistent with the objectives we've set out with initially with the lawsuit against the conference. What this will mean for the schools, there will be some incentives based on ratings for games that they participate in, and the penalties now to leave the conferences or to leave the ACC are going to be less. So gives a way for brand initiative for some of the schools in the ACC that believe that they provide most of the money for the conference. This might sound good, but it might only be good for a couple of years. Once that payment goes down, maybe they'll be jumping ship anyway. But it solidifies the ACC for the next couple of years, which I guess is good news for them. High school basketball, boys and girls, we have state playoffs tonight. Tri-City Christian is on the road against Poly. George Washington will be down here to take on Olympian. Pack Ridge in action today against Saddleback. Carlsbad hosts Fairmont Prep. Cathedral Catholic will be at Los Al. Sage Creek at Poly. St. Augustine hosts Canyon. Maranatha hosts Pacific. Victory Christian will actually play Santa Fe Christian in a local state playoff game, so that will be cool. We'll have a San Diego team moving on regardless. Southwest San Diego hosts a game. Mission Bay's in action. Mira Mesa, La Jolla Country Day, Torrey Pines, Francis Parker, and San Marcos all playing games tonight for state playoffs. We'll have updates for you on those tomorrow. San Marcos got a tough draw. They got to take on J. Sarah Catholic tonight up there in Orange County. As for the girls, Escondido Charter's playing at Carlsbad, so an in-town game tonight for high school basketball. Oak Hills at Cathedral Catholic High School tonight. Harvard Westlake at Francis Parker. Santana on the road at Kennedy. And then other teams that are in action tonight throughout San Diego County in girls high school basketball. Otay Ranch, Bishops, Mater Dei Catholic, La Jolla Country Day, Victory Christian, Rancho Bernardo, Westview Christian, Grossmont, Crawford, and then El Cap is going to host Rancho Buena Vista at Lakeside, out in Lakeside today. So another local game. Hopefully James doesn't have swimming at El Cap High School tonight.
No,
should be a packed house.
To Monte Vista, thank goodness.
Not to deal with the state playoff game for the Vaqueros and the Longhorns. That's a fun matchup.
Yeah,
with mascot names. That's it for high school basketball. Boys and girls have the updates for you on who's advancing in the playoffs tomorrow. Here's Craig.
All righty. And what I got for you with no local teams in action today whatsoever is an NBA, NHL update. And, you know, guys, it's almost as if the Dallas Mavericks have bad karma.
Oh, you think?
It's almost like trading your franchise player under the cover of night, negotiating with only one team, not leaking anything, completely blindsiding the fandom.
Raising season ticket
and then
prices.
raising season ticket prices has led the Mavericks into a dark path, and Karma Train is going choo-choo-choo and running right over them. First, of course, it was Anthony Davis, the player traded for Luka Doncic, being injured in the third quarter of the first game that he ever played for the franchise. He's still out, by the way. Now it's Kyrie Irving. Kyrie crumpled in the first quarter last night during a blowout home loss to Sacramento, had to be helped off the court. And yes, he has torn the anterior cruciate ligament in his left knee. Kyrie's season is over.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Done. All done. Disaster year for the Mavericks. And again, they lost by 24 at home in front of a booing fan base that is being told they need to raise ticket prices.
Yeah, you better pay more for this product.
Tough times if you're a Mavericks fan.
Further investments in the team is what the Mavericks said.
Well,
Jerry
Jones ongoing investment
is so excited right now. He's not the worst owner in DFW. They're making moves today. Well, watch out.
Sometimes just by standing still, you gain ground.
That's right.
That is the case.
Well, we knew where the sun was going to be. We knew where the Mavericks were going to be.
We know where the sun is going to be at 1 o'clock on a Sunday.
We don't need to touch our blinds or our windows.
No.
Yeah.
Jerry's coming for the
roof?
Rangers. Jerry's coming for the Rangers next. The curse of Jerry. Get everybody off his ass.
Also out for the year in the NBA, Magic guard Jalen Suggs, also with a knee injury, but we won't discuss the Magic's karma. SGA for MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's doing it all for the top seed in the West. Dropped his fourth different 50-plus point game of the season last night, netting 51 total in a 137-128 win over Houston. The Thunder won their 50th game of the year against just 11 losses. Tonight, Red Hot Lakers put their 6-game winning streak on the line when they host New Orleans. Clippers are at the Suns. Well, the last couple weeks we talked about the NHL Four Nations face-off and what a huge ratings hit it was, what a bonanza it was for the sport of hockey overall. And along the way, I remember us kind of bringing up, boy, it's crazy that these are exhibition games, essentially an all-star game replacement, and the players are playing harder than they would in the regular season.
Yeah, said it was the most important games that they played.
Well, guess what happens when you play super, super, super hard in hockey?
You get injured.
You get injured. You get injured.
In exhibition games.
Yes.
Ah.
And the collateral damage
Tough
from
deal.
the Four Nations face-off is being revealed. It's being learned, and it is wreaking havoc on the NHL's playoff push. The biggest is Mr. Team USA, Matthew Tkachuk.
I guess this is why you don't do it every year.
Yeah, he was on with Jimmy Fallon. He was the face of Team USA. He was beloved. He hurt himself so badly during the Four Nations face-off that the team yesterday put him on long-term injured reserve, said he's out for the rest of the regular season, and they might get him back for the Stanley Cup playoffs. They hope they'll get him back for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Matthew Tkachuk, the most important player on the Florida Panthers, by far, and team that won the cup a year ago, out.
That's tough.
That's wild, right? Other notable injuries: the Bruins' Charlie McAvoy, defender, served as an alternate captain for Team USA. Forward Chris Kreider of the Rangers, he is out after Four Nations injury. And Canada's and former San Diego Gull, OG Gull, Shea Theodore, broke his wrist playing for Team Canada. He's out indefinitely. Huge blow to Las Vegas Golden Knights. So, and it again, this is why they won't do it again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure those players would say it was worth it, and I'm sure everybody, as we know, enjoyed the whole tournament. But when you injure yourself in an exhibition game, it's not good.
It's what happens. This is what happens now. So yesterday on the scoreboard, Alex Ovechkin did not score, although Washington beat Ottawa 5-4. So Ovi's still 10 goals behind Wayne Gretzky. The LA Kings got trucked by the Chicago Blackhawks last night, 5-1 in the Windy City. Tonight, there are 10 games on the ice of the NHL, including the Anaheim Ducks skating at the Edmonton Oilers. And the Winnipeg Jets, a team that exists, they are at the New York Islanders. And that's my report.
All right.
Decided to go foul-free right there.
All right.
I've got one other thing. Just a brief note that Champions League, UEFA Champions League, is in the round of 16. The round of 16 kicked off 12 minutes ago with matches here, there, and everywhere, including Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, the All Madrid rivalry. That one I've got on my screen. It's Real up 1-0 in the 10th minute. But if you are a UEFA Champions League fan, you've probably already begged out of some lunchtime commitment to go somewhere and watch. So
you're taking a work lunch. You're in a bar where there's a game playing on the TV that you're interested in.
Exactly. Listen, I have a very important lunch meeting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be gone from 12 to approximately 1:45. And then I'll be home. Then I'll be right back with you.
Back to it.
And there it is. Your 12 o'clock sports fix for Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. All right. When we come back, we'll get you updated on early action for Padres spring training, split squad, plus maybe the best goal ever. Maybe. You're going to want to jump onto YouTube if you're out there listening on the radio during this commercial break and come back to see it for yourself. Otherwise, we'll do our best to paint a word's eye view. Manny and Elsten program rolling until 2 o'clock right here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Don't forget, coming up at the top of the hour, 1 o'clock, we will announce today's biggest fan. That person will have 10 minutes to call in and have a chance to qualify for a night in our Odyssey suite at a future Padres game. You can register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggest fan in order to potentially have your name called. Manny and Elsten back with you. Nick Pivetta gets through a scoreless top of the first inning against Los Gigantes at Peoria Sports Complex, and Padres up to bat right now. Fernando Tatis Jr. getting a nice little ovation as he steps in.
Nice.
Watching Nick Pivetta, it does remind me, Annie, why at one point Boston put him in the bullpen. Because his pitching style is just right at you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's
It's
aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard fastball. He comes right at you with a hard fastball, and then he tries to get you to strike out over the top of his curve.
Yeah, and that's funny that you say that, because that is like when Ruben Niebla was kind of talking about what they liked in him, or Mike Shilt, it was like he fits the profile of going right after hitters, not afraid to trust his stuff. So it's going to be fun to watch him go after him, right? I mean, you got to be able to execute, obviously, when you're doing that. They're going to take advantage if you don't.
Absolutely. And, just something to keep in mind when you think about Nick Pivetta is like, he's a guy that can lock in the middle of your rotation. He's a high intensity pitcher. He strikes out more hitters than innings pitched. He does give up some homers because he comes right at you. So if you're aggressive with a fastball, if you're aggressive trying to strike people out with a curveball, every once in a while, that's going to be hung into a hitting zone and you're going to get smacked. But with that, he gives you that, bulldog reliever mentality as a starting pitcher. So, you imagine a dream world way down the road. The Padres win 90-something games, and they're in a short series. They're in that wild card series. And Pivetta, instead of being one of your 2 or 3 starters, you throw him in that bullpen, and he's a real option for you down there.
Yeah, and I'm curious what the conversations were with the Padres about bullpen talk. I would imagine the playoffs, it's anything goes, right? Like, you move to the bullpen, no problem. If there was a world where, they needed a guy for a long man, some long man relief, or if Pivetta was struggling at all, I'm curious if there were any conversations about that. My guess is no. Like, hey, we're taking you on as in our starting rotation. I think that's the kind of deal Pivetta would probably want to sign. But it is curious. I mean, you got him for 4 years. Could his role change depending on execution or depending on what their needs are? But for now, certainly, that's your fourth starter in the rotation.
Good stuff from Nick Pivetta. Padres out in order with the rise to Tatis and Merrill, and we're underway on a sunny day in Peoria, Arizona. Padres and Giants split squad game happening with the Pods and Cubs. Have not found that one to stream yet, so I can't just be like multitasking, looking screen to screen. But we'll see what happens as the day and the afternoon continues. Okay, I don't spend too much time on socials these days, but this morning it was this weird thing where I was kind of looking, because I'm always hunting around for stuff for the show.
Yes.
Right. Hunting around, stuff for the show. And then I see this one clip and I'm like, holy crap. Like, I couldn't believe it. I hadn't seen it. It blew my mind. And it was the weirdest thing that then, like, I clicked refresh and I feel like it must have just been posted or something, because then I saw like 7 more posts about it. And since then, since I've gotten in this morning, I've seen 15 more posts about it. And the general consensus is the big global soccer awards, Annie, the Ballon d'Or, right? The big awards, they have an award for the best goal of the year. And the consensus is, so far, this right here just might win the goal of the year for 2024-25. We are taking you to Liga MX Femenil. This is Tigres Femenil out of Monterrey. And you are about to see something. If you're watching on YouTube, you're about to see something completely insane. Let's go ahead and play the Spanish commentary because they actually have a great call here. And then we'll come back and we'll explain it as we see the replays.
Para Montero y para Chivas. Tiro de esquina que ejecuta Jennifer Hermoso.
It's a corner kick.
Corto que reacciona de buena manera la defensa.
Blocked away. It's now on the right edge.
Complicaba a Jennifer Hermoso.
Player just
Rescata el
driving out
balón
to
y
their
lo
left
mantiene
foot,
en el
crossing the
rectángulo
box.
verde. Va al primer palo, el remate, golazo, golazo,
It's like a spinny kick thing.
Spinny kick.
She was kind of like backwards, yeah. Like
Exactly, backwards. Literally backwards.
¡Para Tigres! ¿De quién más? Por la obra se conoce el hechizo, la maga Ovalle con una definición magistral.
Ya podemos apagar las luces.
Magistral.
Vámonos de Arsenal.
Just said the witch did something magical, and that's her
Acabamos de
nickname.
presenciar el mejor gol del torneo.
El mejor gol del torneo. Best goal
Y
of
el
the
mejor
tournament.
de su carrera por la forma en la que
All right,
define.
watch this
Aquí
now
lo
again
vemos.
in slow motion. If you're watching, jumping
Señoras y señores,
backwards,
es para mí
literally
el gol más
leaves the feet
vistoso que ha
from
marcado
behind, jumping
la maga
backwards,
Jacqueline Ovalle.
and flicks
No
her
sé si se
left
podía, Luis Mario, te dije.
sole of her foot, not even her heel, the left sole
Como
of
una
her
especie de
foot.
medio escorpión.
Flicks it outwards, twisting to the right and backwards at the same time, midair,
No importa.
to lift the ball
El recurso
perfectly,
es válido y nos regala
nestling
una
it
obra de arte.
into the side
Enmárquela,
netting,
Jacqueline Ovalle, como un hechizo
nestling
más
it
para
in.
Tigres.
Her name is Lisbeth Ovalle,
De la maga Ovalle.
but they
¿Y
call
qué crees?
her
Qué bonito.
La
Gol
Maga,
número 100.
the witch.
so good. Yeah, your timing has to be like impeccable on that. And obviously like your angle and the strength of your backwards flick there. That's pretty good.
Annie, they call soccer the beautiful game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
You see why?
it's a great play there. I mean,
You'll never see it
didn't
again.
see that coming, right?
You'll never see it again. That action just happened in the world. It's a thing that a human being created.
Mhm.
And I am telling you, no one will ever do that exactly the same again. This is,
Yeah.
if you're watching on YouTube, this
Yeah,
is
I
the
mean-
freeze frame,
Very hard to emulate.
right? She is in midair. She's already left her feet. She is twisting like a diver.
Yeah.
Right? Like a diver would twist sideways in the air, almost like a barrel roll in the air, to get her the underside of her foot. The underside of her foot. As we can see in the freeze frame, she clearly can't see what she's doing.
Mhm.
Absolute no look. And she puts it in the net.
I don't think you can practice that.
This type of soccer action, Annie, can sometimes be called a scorpion kick because it's in a much more stationary
Yeah.
situation where you're down on the ground, but you lift your leg kind of over your head like a scorpion's tail. She said afterwards, instead of a scorpion, a camarón, a shrimp. She said to call it the shrimp.
That's great.
Instead for small legs.
Kinda
But,
like,
el
was it-
camaroncito, yeah, the little shrimp.
Yeah. Was it Saquon Barkley that jumped backwards or
Yes.
had that? It reminds me of that, although
Very
it would have
much
been better
so.
for him if he had scored the touchdown. I guess it would have been more
Right.
apropos on this play since you scored a goal. But yeah, you got to have some elite athleticism for those kinds of plays
It's just
and some luck. I agree.
mind-shattering, absolutely insane. And yes, it was completely lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, you
yeah.
know,
Well, you need skill too. I mean, she's got to put it in play for
the
to be
skill
able
is
to do that.
impeccable.
Yeah.
But it'll literally never happen again. I invite you to watch soccer for the rest of your lifetime and the
You'll
rest of
see it.
everyone else's lifetime. And it'll never happen again. Maybe something similar,
Yeah.
maybe something somewhere else on the field, somewhere else in some way, but no one's ever going to do what La Maga did.
Just like that.
My God.
Pretty awesome.
My God. I love sports.
Yeah.
I love sports.
You got to watch
I love
that one
soccer.
like 30 times. And you still are like, how'd you do that?
The first time, it's just like, what?
Yeah.
It's literally, what? She jumped and then the ball like goes a completely different direction. It's looping. It's kind of
Uh-huh.
slow. Just a beautiful rainbow into the net. You go, what? And then you see the slow-mo and you're like, she did that on purpose. She wasn't stabbing at the ball.
Yeah.
She did that on purpose. My goodness.
Pretty great.
Sports. We are now through 2 perfect Nick Pivetta innings, 1 walk, the only tarnish along the way. No score, no hits, no runs, no errors for the Padres and the Giants rolling in Peoria. We'll keep you up to date on everything as we do until we hand over the reins at 2:00 to Gwen and Chris, and then it's their job. We'll be heading home. It'll be up to them. Okay. When we come back, it's time to play silly games. We're actually almost a little early to the break here, but silly games is our weekly, every day of the week, I should say, daily attempt to get you a chance to go to Las Vegas. We have just opened up a new contest, a new grand prize drawing at the end of March, and that is 2 tickets to see Alanis Morissette at the Coliseum at Caesars Palace, a 2-night stay at the Flamingo Hotel and Casino, and a $100 gas card. See Ticketmaster.com for tickets. But if you'd like to call in now, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll screen a contestant during the break. We'll come back. We'll play silly games. Today's silly game, Fast Money, the bonus round from the Family Feud game show, where you're going to need to try and get on the wavelength of a previous studio audience here for Annie and Elsten inside the audio corporate headquarters, who Braden Soprenet surveyed for some pop culture topics. Yes. You're going to need to come up with the number one answer. Let's find out if you can do it. We'll take a timeout. 833-288-0973 is our number. Give us a call right now. We're going to play Fast Money when we come back. Annie and Elsten, San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3, The Fan. This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Jack in the Box's new crispy boneless wings have so much more crunch than the competition, you won't be able to think about soggy nugs again.
No soggy nugs.
No soggy nugs.
Nope. Much more crunch.
Mm-hmm.
Jack in the Box. New crispy boneless wings. Please enjoy if you'd like to. Here's what we enjoy. We enjoy the opportunity every day to play a silly game, to hit a little reset on the program. Sometimes we have hard topics that we have to chew on. Today, not really. I mean, we got spring training. We got some interviews to kick around. It's a pretty chill day. That doesn't mean we can't have a reset. We're having a reset. We're playing a silly game. And most importantly, we're giving you the chance to qualify for a big-time prize. We're hooked up with Las Vegas once again. Chance to see Alanis Morissette at the Coliseum at Caesars Palace, a 2-night stay at the Flamingo Hotel and Casino, and a $100 gas card. All you have to do is be victorious on Fast Money. It's the bonus round of the Family Feud game show, Fast Money. Your chance to prove your wits and stake your claim for a trip to Las Vegas. We have gone through those who have called in, and we've come up with the most worthy today. It's Tim in Encinitas. Hi, Tim.
How you doing?
Doing well, man. How about yourself?
Doing well as well.
Okay, nice and brief, but now you're going to have to expand. Tell us a little bit about yourself,
Okay.
Tim, before we play the game.
Sorry. I'm in the Marines, and I am driving to work right now.
Awesome.
That works. Good. Thank you for your
Tim.
service,
Yeah,
man.
thank
We
you for your
appreciate you.
service.
Okay, well, Tim, you're the contestant today on Fast Money. Here's how it works. It's very simple. The game will begin with a choice by yourself. You will choose to either play myself, Craig, or you can play Annie. Whichever host you choose will leave the room. Then our resident Ray Combs, Braden Suprenant, is standing by. He has the survey that he asked a previous studio audience here for Annie and Elsten. He's going to give you 5 questions, and you're going to be looking for the most popular answer. Then, when you're done, the host who you picked is going to come back in, not knowing your answers, but being unable to use them. Can't repeat the answers you use. That's the advantage you get in the game. We will then add up the scores, and if you tie or win, you're qualified to go see Alanis Morissette in Las Vegas. Any questions, Tim?
Nope. Let's do it.
Which host would you like to play, Tim, Craig or Annie?
Let's play Craig.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to hand Annie over the all-important
it.
scoreboard. Good luck.
All right, wait for Craig to leave. We got your 5 questions right here. 1 minute on the clock. If any of them stump you, you can say pass, and we can get back to it if we have time. Clock will start. I want to ask you question number 1. Name something women do when they feel a need for change, for a change.
Cut their hair.
Cut their hair. It's a good answer.
Yep.
Name a complaint often heard about daughters-in-law.
They complain too much.
Complaining. Name a phrase that starts with the word pop.
Pop star.
What?
You say star or tart?
Pop. You said pop star, correct?
Yeah. You want star?
Yeah.
All right. S-T-A-R. Pop star.
Pop tart. Okay.
Both would work.
Okay.
Name a vegetable you cannot eat in one bite.
Oh, that's a hard one. Cucumber.
Cucumber.
Cucumber. Okay.
Name an occupation that someone with a fear of heights should never consider.
Building skyscrapers. I don't know how to make that smaller.
High-rise construction worker?
Yes.
Love it.
No work. They'll
Okay.
do it.
Bringing Craig back in.
Some good answers.
Yes. Good job by Tim.
Good job by Tim.
I'll be the judge of that.
And a great outing for Nick Pivetta as
he done 3.
Looks like 3. I think maybe a batter short. I can't tell.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Question number 1. Name something women do when they feel a need for a change.
Change your hair.
Try again.
Change your nails.
Nails.
Mm-hmm.
All right. There's a lot of those that could kind of apply, but not really. Name a complaint often heard about daughters-in-law.
Not a good way to start the game
Nope.
to hear that. Say that again.
Complaint often heard about daughters-in-law.
Oh boy.
Careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't out yourself here.
Right.
Calls too late at night. It's a terrible answer.
That is a terrible answer.
Okay. Well, we're going with that.
You got a 0 for that, buddy. Name a phrase that starts with the word pop. You know what? If you're going to take a 0 on a question, that'd be a good one for a married man to take a 0 on.
Yeah, fair enough.
That might be worth it long term. He's playing the long game.
Exactly.
Not the short game here.
You're playing checkers. I'm playing chess.
That's
buddy.
right. Comes to sleep in his own bed tonight.
Okay.
Name a phrase that starts with the word pop.
Pop culture.
Okay.
I
That's
think
not
I've got 0 in there.
Is pop culture a phrase or is that a
Pop
word?
goes the weasel.
There you go. Pop goes the weasel.
Okay.
Damn it.
That's probably your best answer of the day.
I think so.
Name a vegetable you cannot eat in one bite.
A cucumber.
Try again. God, you're on the same
God, who's
wavelength
with
today.
I know. What's with the cucumbers?
Gross.
A carrot.
Carrot works.
Okay.
Name an occupation that someone with a fear of heights should never consider.
Oh, the guy, the skyscraper window cleaner.
Window washer.
Yeah.
Yeah, window washer. Yeah.
It's a horrible job if you are afraid of heights.
Mm-hmm.
All you're doing is hanging over the edge of a building. Very bad.
On sometimes it's like a wood plank you're sitting on with like a rope hanging off the side of the building.
Yeah. I mean, awful.
No thanks.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
To
let's
the
go ahead and
answers.
get this over with.
Name something women do when they feel a need for a change. Tim said,
Cut their hair.
cut their hair. 10 points.
10.
Really? I thought that'd be number 1.
Me too.
Craig said, nails. Change their nails.
Yes.
I have makeover and go to a spa. Do those
Makeover?
count? Wouldn't makeover and hair be the same thing too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I get 0.
Do you get go to spa?
5. Well, how many points is that?
7.
Yeah, I'll
let's
take
give
7.
All right, 7
Yeah.
points. I'll take 7
I'll take
points.
7.
Yeah.
I'll take 7, please.
All right. It's not going to matter.
I know. Because
Name a
here we go.
complaint often heard about daughters-in-law. Tim
Okay.
said
that they complain too much.
0.
0. Sorry, Tim.
Craig said
That they take calls late at
No,
night.
they call too late
Oh,
at
they
night.
call
Yeah,
too
they
late at
call
night.
too
Yeah,
late at
okay.
night. Like it's
It's
11
a
and they're
0.
calling.
It's a 0.
number one answer was not good enough. Controlling, can't cook, can't clean, son can't visit,
Oh my
spends too much
God.
money.
Spends too much money, probably.
That is a horrible
Yeah.
list of answers.
Moms are harsh.
People have a lot of bitterness,
That's
you know?
right.
She can't cook, you know.
Name a phrase that starts with the word pop.
Mm-hmm. Annie.
Pop star for Tim.
11 points.
11. For Craig, pop goes the weasel.
Number one answer, 42 points.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Sometimes it just takes one, you know.
Mhm.
It did. Name a vegetable you cannot eat in one bite.
Tim said cucumber.
The obvious right answer.
0.
Craig also said cucumber then.
But got buzzed out, so Craig said carrot.
Number one answer,
Oh my
31
God.
points.
This is stupid.
Carrot, corn on the cob, potato, tomato, celery, squash, lettuce were your answers.
Oh.
Should have given him pop culture. Okay.
Yeah, should have done
Yeah.
the culture one, would have been a 0. And then the nails 0.
Wow.
But you would have had 3. You would have had 3 zeros right there.
Mhm.
But I still would have won with the other two.
You probably would have won with carrot anyway. Name an occupation someone with a fear of heights should never consider. Tim said
High rise construction.
20 points.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Craig said
Window washer.
number one answer, 31 points.
Craig wins.
Craig wins.
Sorry, Tim.
111 to 41.
not your fault, Tim.
We go nails 0. It's 104 to 41. It doesn't even matter because he had the 42 on the Goes the Weasel, and it beat
Goes the Weasel. Even without it, I still win.
You guys, Tim must be married too. He went safe. He went the safe play on round 2.
Yeah,
safe play.
They can't cook. They can't clean.
Yeah.
They don't let our son come over.
The son visit, I thought, would be a good answer. That's a good answer.
I'm just generally disappointed with all of that.
Foul on Jocelyn.
It's kind of a
He draws the foul.
Yeah, Jocelyn. Felt like that particular answer you managed to find only septuagenarians and octogenarians to answer.
Mm-hmm.
People in their 70s and 80s.
Yeah, apparently.
With 1950s type answers. She doesn't cook enough.
Her cooking's bad.
I don't like the way she dresses.
She doesn't clean.
She's not. Do you see how she keeps that living room?
Apparently, we interviewed some Southerners, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why.
Went to the southern
part of the country.
Don't like the cut of your dress.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, you got fouled, but hi.
Well, Tim, sorry about it. However, every time the host wins, it's actually good news for all the previous winners.
It's not good for Tim.
Which is just one.
No.
Right. So
Our
right
guy
now
won
there's-
yesterday.
Yeah. Right now, the dude who won yesterday is sitting alone
Mm-hmm.
on a throne,
Yeah. Great start to March.
just covered in Alanis Morissette records. That throne. It's
Mhm.
just, it's a beautiful throne. Now,
JW.
JW.
JW is locked in. Right.
He did a great job.
All right. We'll
all
do
the,
it again tomorrow.
All the women in the chat going, best daughter-in-law, pointing at their own profile
Yes.
picture.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's great. I love it.
Okay. We got a few minutes left in the segment, but not a ton. And I think this particular story is perfect for a few moments and not a ton. Today saw an article in The Athletic, the Pete Rose situation explained. This does not have to be long. When I was coming up, Annie, in the 90s, first starting in sports talk radio, this was the lazy go-to for any host. Like on a day like today, slow news day, not a lot happening, nothing controversial, some newsy stuff, but nothing that's really opinion shaping. And you would just roll out Pete Rose. You'd be like, well, let's talk about Pete Rose. Boom, full lines. Boom. 20, 50-year-olds want to talk to you in 1994 about growing up watching Pete Rose play and how important he was to them and this, or that Pete Rose is horrible and he's this and he's that. Well, Pete Rose is dead. He died at the end of last year, and he died permanently banned from Major League Baseball. His life expired with him on the banned list, therefore ineligible for consideration for the Hall of Fame, and unable to participate in, Major League events and so on and so forth, go to big league games and everything else. Now, Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred has received a formal petition from Rose's daughter and his former lawyer asking that he be reinstated, taken off the permanently banned list, which would make him eligible for the formerly called Veterans Committee, now the ERAs Committee, to, in a couple of years, because they only meet every 3 years, in a couple of years, potentially with a 75% vote, put Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame. And I feel like this is what I don't even know how to feel, Annie, to tell you the truth, because I understand why the family is doing it, but Pete Rose couldn't care less. He wanted this when he was alive.
Yeah.
He's dead. It doesn't matter to him anymore.
Yeah. I mean, this is a tough one because to me, he should have already been in the Hall of Fame. That's just where I stand on it. He's done so much for the game of baseball. It's incredible. It's astonishing. I at the same time, I think about the players who would probably think to themselves or look at me and say, well, what about all the players who did follow the rules? And what about all the players who did things by the book and everything like that? But, Pete Rose, I think could have been, things could have been different, except that he kind of doubled and tripled down. And I think that's kind of, the way the politics work sometimes, especially in a game like baseball where, you got a lot of people with a lot of gripes and resentments, and they feel a certain type of way. But it's just hard to think that he's not honored because he revolutionized the game in so many ways. I mean, he was incredible, So to me, like, look, yeah, okay. Is it going to matter? Are they ever going to do this? Are they ever going to, vote him in? A, and then B, like, is he ever going to be like, is he ever really going to be honored the way he would have been? Like, does he care? Like, I mean, like, he's dead,
He's dead.
This would have been better if
Doesn't matter to him.
He was alive.
It doesn't matter to him. He's dead.
Yeah.
It could be nice for his daughter, but
sure, it'd be great for the family. I mean, and that's something. I mean,
or his
that,
son.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something, right? Like, I mean, you hear from the family, and I'm sure it would mean a ton to them. But does it change things a whole lot? It would change things a little bit. I mean, look, for people who learn about the game of baseball, to see that, to walk through and recognize him, I think does mean something for sure. And for the history of the game. But man, it's a long time coming if that's the case.
I would invite anybody who feels a little familiar with the story, maybe a younger listener, somebody who'd never watched Pete Rose, somebody who's only heard of him as a banished player.
Yeah.
I recommended this on a Crossing Streams toward the end of last year, but the documentary on Max called Charlie Hustle and the Matter of Pete Rose, which involved a lot of late life interviews with Pete Rose, and I think gave you a pretty full picture of the man. And I think one thing that just has to be repeated is that Pete Rose was a completely lost gambling addict. He was as deep in the throes of gambling addiction as anybody you could run into in any walk of life. But he had enough money in his life that he was able to sustain a crippling, horrible, losing gambling addiction. And that addiction carried right over to baseball. And while, I mean, listen, I grew up watching him play. I couldn't agree more in terms of the actual impact he had on the field in the game of baseball. There's no questioning. He's the hit king, and his record will probably never, ever, ever be broken or even approached. I don't know if anyone will even come close to 4,000 hits again in the history of Major League Baseball. But when people make excuses, this is just what I want. When people make excuses for him, well, he only bet on this, or he only bet on his team to win. Just understand, everyone knew what the rules were. And this guy was betting $10,000 on the Eagles and $20,000 on the Pistons and $30,000 on the Rams and the Ravens. And he couldn't stop there. He had to bet on his own team as well. So gambling addiction is destructive, crippling,
very real,
horrific. And he never came to terms with that. He was betting until virtually the last day of his life. So just keep that in mind when you talk about Pete Rose, amongst everything else. We're right back with hour number 4 next. 1 o'clock. Beautiful San Diego, California. It's where we live. We're psyched. Annie and Elsten show. Final hour of our Tuesday program. We go Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. Annie Halbran's here. I'm Craig Elsten. Braden Soprenet alongside. At the top of the hour, Gwynn and Chris will check in. Tony Gwynn Jr. is presumably in Peoria. I'm sure he didn't go to the road game. So Ello and Scraby will hold the fort until Tony comes in. Once the game is over, they'll be on till 6. Matt Scraby on from 6 to 7. It is 1 p.m. It is that time. This is we need a new name.
Oh, yeah.
In here, Braden. That is yesterday's name. So stand by, manifestors. Stand by.
Extra time to manifest.
Yes. Use this extra moment positively. Let those mental vibrations specifically get to Braden Soprenet, because right now he is pulling a name off a list. Maybe you can influence him right now.
Off the list.
That's already been selected.
You can't influence me. I already know.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't? I mean,
no.
Who's to say? I guess
I
this guy is.
I don't make the names.
You just write them down.
write
And
them
now
down.
you've done it. Here we go.
Not from Lake Elsinore.
Congratulations to today's biggest fan, RJ O'Malley from San Diego. RJ O'Malley, give us a call back in the next 10 minutes at 833-288-0973, and you will qualify for our grand prize, 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game later this season.
All right, RJ.
Remember to register your name. Go to 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. And you can do that. You can get registered for next week or another day down the road. Okay, a couple of updates here. Why my computer went off over here. A couple updates from spring training. We told you about Nick Pivetta having himself a great open to his Cactus League. Sorry, Beatrice. Just missed you. Just missed you.
It's so funny. She said that yesterday too.
It's fair.
Soon, Beatrice, I hope. I don't know that for sure. But
you definitely don't know that.
I don't know that at all, actually. But
you don't have
I
access
don't even
to the
see the
list.
names, but I'm manifesting for you. Yes.
It's fair.
And everybody else that wants to win.
Everyone equally?
Still got 2
Yes.
weeks after this week.
Wow. So, I mean, really, you're not helping anyone.
Well, I mean, hopefully Beatrice is just part of that group.
Just part of it.
Yes.
Understood.
Nick Pivetta retired
Yes.
8 of the 9 batters he faced today. Struck out 4, walked 1. A good performance for him. A good opener for him.
Got a clip for you watching on YouTube of Nick Pivetta punching out the side in the first inning, in his first Padres inning that you could watch.
As a Padre.
Right. I mean, he's had his first Padres inning. It was
Yeah.
like a sim game on a
Yeah.
backfield that nobody could
First
see.
Cactus League action.
Yes.
Yeah.
That link should be, right there. You got it. Nick Pivetta, first inning. Thank you, pitching ninja.
Thinking about Pivetta. 3-2 and 2 on Lee. And another strikeout for Pivetta. And Jung-Hoo Lee. Add another name to the list.
All
Talking
right.
about Pivetta.
Who's it
I mean,
talking in the background?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I saw a few comments on social media that he would get really animated after balls. And I don't know. I didn't see that, but well, pretty funny if so. Intense guy, as we've heard.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. In fact, I feel for Nick Pivetta in a small
Mhm.
way, in that you even heard like the reporters' questions today, like to Shilt, he was like, well, have you had to deal with his
Intensity.
high strung intensity? It's like they're kind of saying like Nick
Yeah.
Pivetta, he's kind of a jerk, like he's someone you don't want to be around. He's really irritable and he's really high strung. And I don't know that that's the case. When I heard him on with Ben and Woods, he's
Yeah.
like, most days that he pitches, he's like chill until like an hour and a half before the game.
Well, I mean, it is funny. Like the Boston beat writers, as I said, there were a few pieces on him being somewhat of a polarizing figure because of that intensity. But then, I mean, sometimes you need that in a clubhouse, right? So it'll be fun to watch him kind of interact with everybody else. Joe Musgrove talked really highly of him. So I'm looking forward to getting to know him and watching him pitch throughout a full season.
Meanwhile, it is a split. So this game is zeros in the fourth inning. Jackson Merrill just hit a 1-out triple off a lefty reliever for the Giants in the fourth. and Manny is hitting right now in a game that is zeros. But that's only half the team. The other half of the team went to Mesa to take on the Cubbies. Matt Waldron on the mound, second inning, and now we present with a runner on second base, the dumbest homer you'll ever see. This is a full count pitch to Pete Crow. Let's see if there's sound on this one.
PCA.
Facing a knuckleballer, they don't see him a lot either.
Oh, whoa.
And Pete staying on that one, shooting it the other way. Dansby on his horse, slides in, and it's a one-run ball game, and here comes the chaos. The ball thrown into center field, and you already know that Pete is going to make this a 2-0 ball game. That chaotic.
Talk about facing a knuckle.
Yeah. So, like, literally, and
play was as good as the call.
Yeah. And inside
Here comes
out.
the chaos.
Yeah, here comes the chaos. Inside out swing, little, just like little dinker single to left field.
Yeah.
Runner scores Hap, and then throw is cut off by Eggy. Eggy misfires to McCoy at second base. Ball gets away, rolls to short center field, and Pete Pro Armstrong comes all the way around.
Yeah, when he hit that, I was like, what are you talking about, Homer? And then I saw.
Little League Homer.
Yeah, Little League Homer.
Little
right.
League Homer.
He needs more jersey. I mean, his name doesn't fit on his jersey.
I know.
He goes belt to belt.
He really does.
That's insane.
Really?
Yeah, it's Crow Armstrong. It's ridiculous. Take a look, like when he's
They had to
rounding the
really
bases.
make it arch.
Oh, it's super arch, especially with they went back to the big lettering.
Yes.
Look at the back
yeah.
of his jersey when he rounds third here.
Okay.
It's so long. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Taste the
Crow
rainbow.
Armstrong. Crow Armstrong.
Love it. So there's your update. That game is 4-0 Cubs in the top of the fourth inning. The Cubs are playing their full lineup against the
spring training.
Padres Scribinis, and they had Shota Imanaga on the mound for 3 perfect innings against San Diego.
Spring training for everybody.
Yeah. So those are your updates. Manny got out, and the Padres stranded Merrill at third.
That one's still 0-0 in that one.
So that one's zeros. 4-0 Cubbies in the fourth in the other game. Resetting some of the topics from earlier in the show. And again, these are spring training games, so they are essentially meaningless unless someone does something good, at which point we decide that is the meaningful part. But I did think it was worth noting that in the decision to split the squads today and to have A squad at home, B squad on the road, that Tirso Ornelas was on the A squad playing in right field today, and Gavin Sheets was on the B squad at DH. And I do wonder, you almost have to wonder, when a guy comes in that's fighting for a job, that's almost out of options, he was your minor league hitter of the year, and then he comes in and he hits 420 with doubles and homers and walks and no strikeouts. Like, if you don't give him a chance, what does spring training mean anyway?
What does spring training mean anyways, Craig? I mean, I was listening to Tony on Musgrave and Chris yesterday saying that exact same thing. Tony Gwynn Jr., who would know better than anyone about spring training, and was like, you just can't take hardly anything out of it. I mean, yes, I would think that bodes very well for him, and I think it means something. I think if you're a manager or coach or front office, like, you're looking at that and you're like, okay, he's gone up against some big league pitchers. He's done well. He's been consistent. Swing looks nice. Is he swinging at the right times? Is he chasing? Is he all that good stuff? Like, how's he seeing the ball, et cetera, et cetera. Same with the pitchers, like, in terms of just how far along they are. Like, I would imagine there's just certain milestones they're looking for that are more than just the results, but how much of it is predetermined and how much they've got to, like, fight out a certain spot, it's hard to say with the Padres. I think there are some places that are real competitions, and I think that's one of them for sure. And he's doing well for himself. I mean, it's hard to ignore the success he's had so far.
Yeah.
That was another thing Tony said. I mean, they've played how many games? 7?
Something like that. I'm seeing on this game day that I'm just looking at, it says the Padres are 3-7 in spring. So maybe that's counting split squads. I don't know.
They do count the split squad.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So we still have 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks?
Easily 3 weeks.
Yeah,
and I'm not
the
even
third week.
thinking that things will change all that much. It's just it's hard to make any big, proclamations, but it's good for him. He's doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20 days left in spring. The last spring game is March 24th.
Yeah.
Which is 3 days after the Dodgers and Cubs will have had 2 regular season games because they'll be
Japan.
in Tokyo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the wacky stuff that is going to be going on down the road. But
those are spots that are open, right, for the Padres. I think. Who else are you looking at there? Yuli? Like, who else is like your?
Let's break it down.
I mean, I do think they're going to go with Connor Joe and Jason Hayward. So then, what do you have left?
Right. Okay, so if you're going to go Connor Joe, Jason Hayward, that means Joe kind of occupies a unique spot because he's both a reserve first baseman and a reserve outfielder.
Yep.
So he gives you a little versatility there. But you already know that you got 4 bench spots. One is Tyler Wade.
Right. Okay. Right.
One is the not playing Hayward or Joe.
Yeah. So let's just say it's Connor Joe for now, just because they've been big on Hayward. But
Sure.
okay, let's just say it's Connor Joe.
Connor Joe for the righty's on the mound today.
Right. Okay. There you go.
Righty's on the mound. So Connor Joe is on the bench. Your second catcher is the third bench spot.
Yep.
Right. That's either Maldonado or Camposano or Diaz.
Right.
However that shakes.
Yep.
And by the way, Martin Maldonado starting today in the A game again, and Diaz not starting. It at least raises an eyebrow. I don't know if it'd be worth asking a question if I was there, but it at least raises an eyebrow. Like, why is Martin Maldonado still starting? Why isn't he just like hanging out with Ethan Salas and taking him to lunch and stuff? But okay, right? So 3. So you got one spot on the roster.
And you've got Oscar Gonzalez, who the Padres Victor Gonzalez is high on. He saw his success with the Guardians. He had a down year after that, but he knows he can be good. He's proven it at the big league level before. You've got Tirso Ornelas, who is lighting it up, but has never played at the big league level. But hopefully the guy gets a chance at some point soon. I mean, if not with the Padres, I hate to say it, with someone else. Like, I'm sure Tirso would just love to be in the lineup. Wait, did we already say Rosario? Have we done Eggy?
I was just
They're
in my
high
mind.
on
I'm going
Eggy.
like, hang on. What about Eggy? He's out of options.
Yeah. So I would think Eggy, if he's out of options and you're not trading him, I would think you're putting him on your team.
So now I'm like actually just kind of trying to do the math in my head, going, okay, you're going to have 5 starters. If they have 8 relievers, right, then you've got a 4-man bench. You've got no better than a 4-man bench. I don't know that any of these guys have a chance.
DH. So DH is another spot. Good point. So
okay, starting DH.
Starting DH.
Right. Thank you,
right.
Daniel, in the chat.
So let's just
Thank
make
you.
it 5 bench pieces, because you could put any of those guys in as the DH,
Right.
depending on who.
Okay, so then we're back to where we were, Annie, which is put Eggy in the group, right?
Yeah.
Eggy,
So now
Eggy's
he takes number 4.
Yeah, Eggy's number 4, and now number 5 is Tirso,
Oscar,
or Sheets,
right?
Or
Yuli.
Lockridge or Yuli. Like 5 dudes for one spot.
We'll go. I'm sorry. How has Sheets been doing? I haven't even. Okay. So let's just say
nothing. He's 118 so far.
For the sake of argument, if the season ended today, if spring training ended today, okay, you have your small sample size. You have, I would put it at Tirso and Oscar, and then it's kind of like, what do you value? Do you value? Are you going to go with Oscar first? Can Tirso go back to the minors?
I think
it's two more.
One or two more options. Yeah.
So I think that's what you would do, is probably put Oscar up, or I guess you could choose Tirso, one or the other. But Oscar, what do you do with Oscar then? If he
send him to AAA?
Yeah, you'd have to see. Yeah.
I don't know if he needs to go through waivers. He probably does.
And I mean, it probably will be a situation where, like, you're going to use those guys throughout the year. You're going to end up going through patches where you call them up, or there's an injury, or you DFA someone or whatever, and now you've got to go to the next guy. But I think that's my guess where that competition's at.
You know what? This was a really useful exercise.
I'm glad
me
too.
Yeah, I'm glad we did it, because it really enforces in my mind that Yuli Gurriel has absolutely no place on this team.
I can't wait till he ends up on the opening day roster. And you're
but
like,
could you imagine? Could you imagine 40-year-old washed up Yuli Gurriel getting Tirso and Sheets and Lockridge?
Is he in the lineup at all today?
Gonzalez?
Is he anywhere?
He is not in the lineup on either spot today, although I'm sure he'll turn up in Peoria momentarily.
I think it's a hard sell, to be honest, unless he was just absolutely dominant the rest of spring training. I think it's a hard sell. You've got the youth movement. You've got guys who are showing some stuff in spring training. Again, how much do you read into that? I don't know. But in terms of just seeing the ball and being able to have some success and getting the bat on the ball and getting some hits and everything, I mean, you can't totally ignore that either. So.
Yeah. And if it worked out where Ornelas got the 5th spot, that I would literally believe he would then be the starter at DH, and you would have against righties Hayward in left, Ornelas DH, and against lefties you would have Joe probably in left, but maybe DH, and Rosario in the other spot.
Yeah.
Whichever one it is, either Rosario's DH or Rosario's in left.
Exactly. I think you're going matchup based, and I don't know that I can't remember if Mike Shilt has said something about the DH position or not. To me, my guess is exactly that. You're rotating. I don't know that unless they're trying out a guy and it's going to be like that guy's spot until it isn't, like let's see how he does if he's in the lineup every day. We heard about how Rosario had worked against right-handed hitters in the offseason. How much does that play out this year? Are they looking at him as maybe being a starter in some sense in that position? But I would think that it ends up being rotational.
Yeah. Ornelas has played well enough to get that job. And so far, I would say he should get that job. And Nate Taylor just almost scared the crap out of me because he goes, Craig, you need to eat your hat. And I was trying to remember what my eat your hat bet was. And it wasn't just that Yuli would make the team, because that would have been really irresponsible of me to bet a hat on Yuli making the team. No, my bet was I would eat my hat if he matched down the line Jurickson Profar's season of 2024 in 2025.
It's a high bar to hit.
I feel like my hat is safe. My hat feels like it'll stay on my head and not go in my belly because I don't want to eat my hat. Seems really unhealthy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could put some mustard on it and some
you
ketchup.
could mustard on your hat.
Like you'd end up in a hospital at some point. But
I mean, how much do you have to dice or julienne the little bits of fabric?
Seems like a TikTok thing. I bet there are some kids out there that are like, let's eat our hats. Do it in 60 seconds or however long you can.
There's probably videos on there.
If you had to eat a hat, how would you do it? Right?
Have to cook it down a little bit.
I think you have to cook it down a little.
Probably put it inside some other delicacies.
I feel like the smartest thing would be to chop it up extremely fine.
Yes, that's
blend it. McKee says blend it.
Either put it in a smoothie or put it in like ice cream or something, where you'd just be like, you'd be eating something else and you'd just be
kids don't do this.
Might as well add as much.
Still think it's probably pretty bad for
you. You already got all the microplastics in you anyway.
Yeah.
What's the heck gonna do?
True.
Right. Fair enough.
And then you can water fast and get it out of you.
Oh God.
Let your autophagy happen.
I didn't even think about it getting it out.
Yeah.
It's just about getting it
Lori says one bite at a time.
That is exactly right, Lori.
Right.
One bite at a time.
That's right.
How do you eat
Good
an
answer.
elephant? One bite at a time. How do you eat a hat?
But to take it back to the Padres. But so we really only have, if we're going with that argument that we already think Rosario's on the team, et cetera, you're going with one bench spot or one, bench / DH or whatever you want to call it. One starting rotation, your 5th spot.
Yeah.
Maybe the catcher position, like what's going on there. We're not
second
totally
catcher.
sure.
We don't know second catcher.
Yeah. What else? We have bullpen now because of Hoeing and Sean Reynolds.
Spots.
Yeah. Okay. So a few competitions there still.
Yeah. I mean, there's things to sort.
Yeah, definitely.
But I feel like a lot of it's sorted. Like it's at least really close to sorted. Maybe a little bit of room, but I think it's mostly sorted. Let's take a timeout. When we come back, we will wrap up MLB Network's swing through Peoria, a chat with Jackson Merrill, and a chat about Jackson Merrill when we come back. Manny and Elsten, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Padres top relievers just cruising through the Giants today. Jason Adam, a perfect inning. Adrian Morejon is out right now. He just got a routine grounder to get his outing started. Nick Pivetta was perfect in his time out there. It's been some really solid pitching for the San Diego Padres.
It really has.
So far.
The bullpen's been doing pretty well.
Yeah. I think we got a good staff.
Mm-hmm.
I really do.
Oh,
I think Padres have a very good staff, and it's going to come down to, that's why I liked, and we're about to get to a Jackson Merrill clip from MLB Network, but that's, I think, why we both liked that Manny interview with Yonder, where he talked about the defense being really important this year, because, I mean, let's be honest, if the Padres pitch the way they can with the bullpen they have, and they field the ball, now you just have to be an average offense to be a winning team. You don't have to be lighting the world on fire offensively to be a winning team. If you're playing defense and you're catching and you're pitching the ball, you're a winner already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think for the Padres especially, it's going to be like the same mantra as last year, which is you're not giving away outs, right? Like you're not giving away errors. You're not letting the team have a chance to poke at you without giving up a good fight. So hopefully that attention to small details, I think that's really what they've been preaching all camp. I think that's still going to be there.
All right. Well, as we mentioned, it's 30 camps in 15 days on MLB Network, and today happened to spin and hit Peoria. So we are thankful for it, and we appreciate it, and we pass on the curated content for you to enjoy. Earlier, we heard from Dylan Cease. Earlier, we heard from Toddy. Earlier, we heard from Manny. Now it's time to hear from the Wonder Kid, Jackson Merrill, and we start with an interview with Jackson Merrill.
Jackson, take me through these moments after the 7th inning, for yourself to be a rookie and going out there and being so comfortable, coming up with a huge hit, either a big hit, big double, or a big homer. Take me through that process in your head, what you're going through.
Just staying calm, knowing my ability, and just kind of using my power. It's kind of just a lot of focusing as much as possible, and the results are the results.
You look at this team, and a team that felt like you were a series away, you were a game away from getting to the World Series, right? Or moving on to that next round. What is it about this team this year, or what's the message for the players?
The message to me is kind of just how we can do this with anybody. We lost some people and we didn't really do too much, but I don't really think we needed to. I think we're good. We got some grinders out here, some old vets that are really, really helping us out. So, I got all faith in our team that we're going to be more capable of winning games this year.
They've always talked about how hard you work. What are those adjustments for this year coming into that second year?
Yeah, I mean, spring training's been a little slower, but at the same time, I get it. I'm going to be playing every day, and that's what I want to do. I want to be there for 162 and beyond.
All right. Well, we got these social questions. Everybody knew we were going to talk to you. From Nate B. Who is the funniest player on your team?
Our team? Probably Crony, bro. He's just he's got these weird one-liners that just come out of nowhere. So I'd say Crony.
All right. Hey, I'm looking.
All right. He didn't do the same trick that time. He didn't come up with the tough question via the listener. He came up with a fun question. That's all right. Okay, Yonder. I see how you're playing.
Got a little Cronenworth insight there, a little shout out.
Cronenworth is funny.
Mm-hmm.
So says Jackson Merrill. Believe it. Meanwhile, they went on from there after playing the little interview with Jackson and Yonder Alonso. Definitely enjoying Yonder's contributions to MLB Network. Then Harold Reynolds and Matt Viscursion talked about Jackson. I'm going to just say right now before we click play, the only reason I want to play this is I want to see if Harold Reynolds says that the Padres need to trade Jackson Merrill, because he says the Padres need to trade everybody else. So when he's asked, hey, Jackson Merrill, what do you think? I wonder if he goes, oh, well, Padres, they're going down the wrong direction. I'd say they'll trade him with Cease and King by the end of the spring. Let's find out. What do they got?
When you're a Rookie of the Year finalist, as Jackson Merrill was for the Padres last year, the immediate expectation is the sophomore season is going to be better. You're going to build on it. He's entering his sophomore season, homered over the weekend, no signs of his slowing down, and the lineup around him is consistent. So there's that same protection base, same managerial messaging, same coaching staff messaging. I do think he's going to take off and reach the next level this year.
Yeah.
No sophomore slump.
Absolutely. I mean, really, the sophomore slump only hits a few people, and we throw it on everybody.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I watched Griffey in his sophomore season. He became the best player in all of baseball.
Just fine.
So I think Jackson's on one of those planes. I'll say trajectory.
Yeah. Okay.
He's a special talent.
We go to social media for this after we take a look at some Jackson Merrill rookie ranking numbers. 24 big boys, 90 runs batted in, a 500 slug, and a kind of mature disposition too.
Okay. So we got from the guys. No sophomore slump,
Awesome.
says Harold Reynolds.
Well, hey, it's good news.
When you do see those numbers, Jackson Merrill just, no one should accuse Jackson Merrill of having had a bad draw in life. Obviously, he got a great draw genetically. He got a great family. He got a great situation. He's made the most of it. Kid's got the work ethic. He got drafted in the first round of Big League Baseball. He was a Rookie of the Year, second runner-up player, turning 21 years old. His whole life and career is in front of him. Jackson Merrill is blessed in every single way in the world, except for this one thing. He showed up the same year as Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
It's literally the only reason he's not Rookie of the Year.
Any other year he would have been. And if they had a position player and a pitcher Rookie of the Year, which is still a good idea, baseball, put that in your next CBA or whatever, then he absolutely would have been. And I think, for Jackson, I think it just puts another chip on his shoulder. You were an all-star your rookie year. You obviously lit the baseball world on fire with what you were able to do. And now, as we talked about, you're getting moved up in the lineup. Things are going to be a little bit different, but it sounds like he's ready for it. Like he's ready to adjust. He's ready to walk when he needs to, or he wants to, get better at different facets of his game. And thing about Jackson too is I think he learned a lot from last year in terms of the grueling nature of a baseball season plus playoffs, which is just different than anything he's ever experienced at the minor league level or in the high school level. So I think it's going to help him going into the second year.
Updating the second spring training game. That one is 5-0 Cubbies, leading the B squad Padres in Mesa, Arizona. Matt Waldron started 2 2/3 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 4 runs, only 2 earned. We played last segment the Little League homer, which was an error by Eggy Rosario that allowed a run to score. He did strike out 1 against the 2 walks, and Ryan Bergert has followed, and he's been bipped around a little bit. He's given up 5 hits in an inning and 2/3. Meanwhile, with the A squad, nothing going on offensively for the San Diego Padres. They got 1 triple from Jackson Merrill, who was stranded. They got 1 single from Tirso Ornelas, who is 1 for 2 on the game. And that is the Padres offense. No walks, 2 hits, 6 innings. Yikes. It is what it is. But Ryan Pavetta was great.
No hit in the spring training game?
No, 2 hit.
Okay, 2 hits. Okay.
2 hits, no walks. Not exactly by the top pitchers for San Francisco either. It's been Roop, Burgos, and Bivens so far for the Giants. But with all that said, no score there, and the Padres relievers have been doing very well with Peralta, Adam, and Morajon each putting up scoreless innings, Adam punching out 2 along the way. And you are up to date on everything that is happening in 2 games at once. Padres split squad spring training. Okay. All right. Let's take our last time out. When we come back, an extra long edition of Ask Us Anything, because we're breaking on time for one of the first times in show history for our last break.
It's the first time for everything.
So
probably the last time too.
Yeah, probably. So you got 16, 17 minutes to call the show right now. It's a lot of time. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We open the lines now. So therefore, you can call now. Let's get it rolling. Let's get a whole string of phone calls going between here and 154. We give you the chance to talk to us every single day at the end of Annie and Elsten. Only have is to have a question, not a soliloquy, not a pontification, not a prediction, but a question, something that you can ask to stimulate the audience. We will come back and do Ask Us Anything next at 833-288-0973. Annie and Elsten on the Fan. See, an NFL story that just dropped in the last few minutes. 1 o'clock was the deadline for NFL teams to place franchise tags. The Vikings said thanks, but no thanks to the quarterback who led them to a 14-3 record last year, Sam Darnold. Declined to franchise tag him. Mm-hmm. So Darnold is now a free agent.
Oh, wow.
That worked out for them last time they did that. Kirk Cousins.
Yes.
Yes.
And
great
then,
point.
And then Darnold did very well. And then they drafted this McCarthy kid. So maybe he's the quarterback whisperer up there.
Yeah. He's not worried. He's not worried. He's
the,
like, just bring on the next one.
Two consecutive years of great quarterback play and the guys that have been cast off before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, well, we need to pay you $10 million. All
right. So who's the fit? Is it back to the Jets?
Ted Darnold.
I mean, like the Jets really, really, really need a quarterback.
Yeah, they do.
Would it be that crazy? Was he that bad? Did he burn bridges while he was there? I'd be curious because I feel like it'd be an automatic spot for him.
At this point, that entire organization's different than when he was there.
Right. The Giants could sign him, right? They've got nobody.
Giants should sign him and Aaron Rodgers and then draft Shador. 3 quarterbacks. And then be on Hard Knocks.
Do the Raiders... Who's the quarterback for the Raiders these days?
Oh, Aiden O'Connell, right?
Yeah, they could use one.
Yeah,
there's a lot of teams that could use a quarterback. I think you'd be a little hard pressed. I mean, Darnold didn't play that well in the playoffs, and did really well for a team that had good quarterback play before that left, and then did not have really good quarterback play for Atlanta. Poor Adam. It might be a system thing up there.
How about this from Adam Schefter? NFL MVP Josh Allen has signed a multi-year deal with Skydance, which already has a joint venture with the NFL, to launch a new media company, co-developing and producing original programming. Allen now is following in the footsteps of Peyton Manning's Omaha Productions and LeBron James's Spring Hill Company. This is just like the new thing.
They
and
all
Moonball Media. Okay, like this is like the new thing. Yeah.
Thing.
But I do think, you maybe when you want to get in on it early these days and kind of occupy that space for whenever you're done playing, I guess.
Everybody's got it. Everybody used to have a podcast. Now everybody has their own
media company. Exactly.
That he can fund because he's got a ton of money.
And it's fun. Like when I watch Mina Kimes, like hers is Omaha Productions. Like it's it's through the Manning brothers, or that production company.
Is
like
ESPN on that?
I think so. Or they have like a partner or a stake in it or something. That's my guess. But
maybe they with the production company within the production company. ESPN's the parent company, and then everybody makes money.
Yeah. And then the recruitment of that from players and the buy-in from other players or former players. I can't say it's a bad idea. It's just interesting like that because it's not podcast anymore. It's a media company.
Everybody's got their own media company.
Right. Yes. Well, we got to be diverse. Everything's pivoted to video, and now got to be on YouTube. And I'm not saying that in the wrong way. It's actually true, but okay, fine. If he stops doing interviews and says, I'm only going to appear on my own podcast, that, well, then you can be like playoff P, like, I honestly, at some
Draymond.
At some point, you're an MVP player. I have no interest in hearing you on podcast. I'm just going to be honest. No interest.
There's so many podcasts. So how do you keep up with all of them anyway?
Yeah.
People tune in at the beginning and then it just kind of, and then you're like, okay, well, sounds like every other podcast I've heard from this guy.
I think I do find value with players and former players, but only if they bring that, right? Like otherwise it's just kind of like the same kind of cliche stuff. Nick Pivetta has some sound on Twitter, if you're interested in that.
Yeah.
Discusses his performance against it. We just haven't heard a ton from Nick Pivetta, so
barely anything.
We can hear him.
Drop it in the rundown. Hand it off.
Is it on the fan?
He's fan Twitter. Yeah.
All right. Let's hear from the Canadian, the man who lived on an island off the coast of British Columbia that also contains the capital city. Here's Nick Pivetta.
I felt good. First outing out, it was just nice to get out there. Everything feels good, feel healthy, feel strong. I think we just can kind of continue to build from here on out. Obviously, limit the walks better, and then just continue to hone the craft.
What did you work on? Because we haven't seen how you built up. I know you usually make like 5 starts, which you have time to do here. What did you work on in the backfield?
Just kind of my mechanics, just getting into kind of my feelings of my regular feelings of how I want to pitch. execute my pitches, just getting my feet underneath me, feeling what the ball feels like in my hand, and just going out and doing what I've always done, just execute pitches.
Very fastball heavy, it seemed like today, like 60%. Was that kind of the game plan going in?
I think it's a spring training game. I don't think there's very much of a game plan ever going into it. I think it's just, executing your pitches, working on kind of the little things that you kind of are hoping to bring into the season, and just kind of honing in on those crafts.
Seen you've been working a lot, obviously, with Ruben during the bullpen sessions. What's kind of his impact been so far, at least early on in spring?
I mean, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
And I think that, right now it's just us getting to know each other, kind of him getting to know me, him bringing a couple things to the table as well mechanically, and, just trying to hone those in and bring those into the game, kind of what the organization, what Ruben and what the pitching org staff kind of has in store for me, what they think are better values, and just kind of working on those things.
At the same time, you mixed a lot of pitches today. Were you pleased with the way it all came in?
Yeah, everything was pretty much for strikes. I would like to throw my slider a little bit better for strikes, but it's the first game, so I'm not going to try to give myself too much of a hard time right now.
Good stuff, Nick Pavetta.
Yeah, honestly good to hear from him. Like I said, we don't hear him a lot, and so good to see how he's kind of assessing it. I love that he's got to cut down on the walks. I think he had one walk, if I'm not mistaken. So you see the intensity with this guy, and he's going to hold himself to a high standard.
Giants are on the board. Very unlucky run conceded by Yuki Mitsui. Got 2 outs, then a fly ball down the right field line that Terso Ornelas played into a single. I think Tatis would have caught it, but Terso saw it drop, and then the next hitter put one a quarter inch inside the left field line, down the line, right by the foul pole for a double that has scored a run. So 1-0 Giants lead the Padres in Peoria, and Padres may not win the Cactus League, Annie, at 3-7 and losing these 2 games here today.
Need to be better,
Yeah.
Yeah, 3-9.
Did you even come back to San Diego?
I mean,
Did you just stay in
Concernometer.
Arizona?
Should we roll out the Concernometer for a
definitely.
3-9 Padres spring
We
training?
should be
record?
having a players-only meeting.
Red flag.
There should be tables flipped.
We're not going to go to Red Alert, though.
Red Alert.
I don't think we're going to go to Red Alert.
We are all kidding.
We're pretty close, though.
Please don't take this seriously. Anyone gonna hear
pretty
from
close to that
management later.
Yeah, play so much better.
Kidding. Let's hit the bumper. All right. You got a few minutes to call the show. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. If you call right now, we're going to put you on the air. Probably. Almost undoubtedly, we will put you on the air. 833-288-0973. Now, Jack in San Diego called before we even threw the numbers. He had something that he was asking Braden about during the break, and he hung on. So
let's go, Jack.
All right, Jack, what's up, man? You're on with Andy and Elsten. Ask us anything.
Hey, now. Thank you. Hey, so you wanted me to put this in the form of a question. So the question is, I think the Padres can overcome the following, and if so, how?
Okay.
All right. So Profar, I don't remember the last time the Padres were over 500 without Profar, including like 2 seasons ago. So they lose Profar's production and Kim, and those 2 guys are arguably the soul of the team. All right. They lose Solano, and then they lose what was that the right fielder's name? Peralta.
Uh-huh.
They lose Hickey.
Yep.
Okay. So you lose all that production. You lose Joe. And then on top of that, the reason why the Padres were so good last season was because they were coming back and scoring runs. And the reason they were coming back and scoring runs was because the bottom half of the lineup was really strong.
Okay.
Now what they've done is they've taken the bottom half of the lineup and moved it up. You know, they've moved Merrill up. They're moving Cronenworth up, and Croney is a 7-hitter. Now they've got black holes 5 through 7, and I don't know what the astrological or astronomical equivalent of more of a black hole is, but that's Jason Hayes.
It's a
how do you
deeper
overcome
black
that?
hole.
Yeah.
I love that Jack played by your rules. He asked the question. He put it in question form. I think Jack. I think what you're hoping for, Jack, is just better performances by some of these people who are looking to have kind of comeback seasons. I mean, yeah, you're definitely losing production. You're losing production with some of the guys that walked away, with Profar, with David Peralta, with Donovan Solano, but you're hoping that some of these other guys get close to that kind of production.
Agreeing with the premise, I have to say, the one thing you don't know and that nobody knows is how Jurickson Profar, Donovan Solano, David Peralta, Kyle Higashioka, and Ha-Seong Kim are going to perform in 2025.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there was a very strong argument to be made that 4 of those 5 guys, everyone but Kim, had maybe the last best season of their career. Now, Profar, I'll just put it this way. I drafted him in our redraft fantasy league.
Wow.
Okay?
What a year.
What
a year, man.
What a change.
8th round even.
Craig just wants the vibes on his team. He just got him for vibes.
Yep.
Got him on the vibes team.
I'm just saying, I believe that Jurickson is going to have a good year this year. I think he's really well set up as the leadoff hitter for Atlanta. I think he's going to have a very good year.
Times have changed.
I know.
Okay.
I can't believe it.
I know, but hey, at least give me credit. I do roll with the times. I'm not not
Roll
locked
punches,
in.
yeah.
I'm willing to change.
That's
when,
right. That's
when
right.
conditions change,
Yes.
I change too.
There you go.
So yes. But Jack, I think you're on to something in this sense.
The bottom of the lineup?
The bottom of the lineup.
Yeah.
You can't not have at least a little concern.
It's a little uncertain. It's
What's
a little, you're taking a
bigger
flyer on quite a few guys.
What's bigger than a black hole? I don't know what that is.
Now,
but
now,
that's
now,
his
I think you would
guy.
agree, like a lot of teams have not the greatest bottom of the lineups. Like,
Sure.
your 79 is
Sure.
sometimes, but I will agree with him. You're looking for Xander to have a bounce back year. You're looking for Cronenworth to play up to, and he did last year, right? I mean, he played up to
He
his
got a
2
2
WAR.
Yeah, he got his 2 WAR. Yeah.
So you're looking for hopefully that or more, right? And then in terms of the other guys, you're looking for hopefully a comeback season for at least most of them.
Yeah. Kim played really poorly offensively all last year with almost no good hot streaks.
Yeah.
So, and he wasn't the lights out defender that he was at shortstop the year before. So
You got to hit a little magic.
yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And the place where I really agree with that the most is simply that the types of players that left, taking Kyle out of it, he got, Profar, Solano, Peralta, they were all line drive hitters. They were all contact hitters. I do have a concern that Hayward, Joe, Diaz, none of them might hit 230 this season. And so that's, they're going to get more walks. They might have a little pop, but you're not going to get those base hits at the bottom of the order you did with Solano.
And you do, obviously, you're going to need them to perform. They can't be black holes or the next level of black holes, Jack, but you also need that top of the lineup, man. I mean, you need that 1 through 6 really to perform to their expectations, those big time contracts.
We got a couple minutes left. Here's Johnny in San Diego. What's up, Johnny? Ask us anything.
Oh, hey guys, it's Johnny Churro.
What's up, Johnny Churro?
Yeah. Hey, can we get Annie's mom on the air sometime, or maybe like a weekly segment?
Oh my God.
All her
My
texts
mom,
are great.
listen, my mom is not allowed on the show because I cannot control what she's going to say.
Annie would foul out.
Perfect.
It'll fall. Yeah,
Perfect,
just for the
yes.
record, when you are asking the question about like, what is the thing that they don't like
I know.
the daughter-in-law or whatever, my mom was literally the one that sent the message. They spend too much money. I know from experience. And then she's like, her answers, Johnny Churro, are so inappropriate usually. But
Sounds like a perfect Friday segment to me.
We'll try to work her on, but
Annie's
I need to
mom tweet
censor her a little.
and just censor him a little bit.
The dump
we
button
can do
is
the
like
social
very
media
used.
post thing that they do
Yeah.
for the questions. Oh,
Yeah.
well, this is not from me, but like maybe
Well, Annie's mom had
this
a
is something my
question.
mom would kind of say.
Johnny, great call.
Good
Great
stuff,
call.
Johnny.
That was
Good
funny.
stuff.
You've got like 20 seconds, but Scott, what's up, Scott? Ask us anything real quick.
Annie, what's your favorite date night?
There it is.
There you go.
Oh my
quick.
God.
Reading her mom's tweets.
Yeah. You know what? I like this. I like the spontaneous date night. I like the it's not really movies and
Yeah.
dinner. It's more just like, okay, let's go
do this.
Let's go see about this, and then let's see where this leads us next. So it's more of like a kind of a fun, just kind of adventurous sort of thing.
No planning needed.
Maybe a little plan, but then you're open to the next thing, sort of
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for calling. Thank you all for being with us today.
Yes, thank you.
Gwen and Chris are up next. We're back tomorrow at 10 a.m. For Braden Soprano, for Annie Halbert, I'm Craig Elsten. Have a great